gonna have to get up and walk over there every time I want. And I was like, oh, is this the thing that makes your face pop up on the screen? But then nothing else.
Oh, okay. Well, no, you buy coins and then you donate them.
Oh, so I probably bought coins and didn't know.
Yeah, you just need to use them.
I don't know how to do it.
That is when you sub. So you can gift subs. You can get in there and be like, I want to give away a sub and stuff like that.
I don't know how to do any of that.
All right, chat. I don't even know if anybody's here yet. We started kind of quick, but what's good, y'all? What's happening, man? We are back on like a dirty thong. As you can see, we switched up the setup here a little bit, so I had to bring my boy Atterbury back on. But this is what the rest of that room looks like. So as you can see, right behind us is usually where we are. But I was like, you know what? I want to switch it up a little bit. I feel like I have more room.
Mm-hmm.
Like
much more
with the other chair. Well, the only other time you've done it is on that back wall,
sitting
right?
straight up. Yep.
Yeah. With that one wasn't bad. I just felt like I was up like against a wall, which essentially we were.
Yeah.
I think this is much more chill. I really like the couch. How are you feeling today, man?
Pretty good. Got off work. Normal daily
How's work
been? Corporate job.
Corporate?
Same old thing. Sit in a cube for 9 hours and listen to podcasts nonstop to drown out everybody else talking about their work stuff that's not mine.
Yeah, and their home stuff that's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
What podcast you listen to right now?
I re-listen to Dan Carlin constantly. So
oh
besides
my God.
that
You
one,
always listen to Dan Carlin.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. I went onto his website and bought all of his old episodes, so I can listen to his whole catalog
like anytime
over and over and over again.
Which one's your favorite one of his? What is it? The Fall of the Roman Empire or something?
Yeah, I listen to that one a lot. And then King of Kings about the Persian Empire is awesome. It's my favorite one. Really? I could listen to that one over. It's probably 15 hours, and I just keep listening to it over and over again. But besides that, comedy stuff, Two Bears,
One Cave,
Tom Segura's with Christina P.
Yeah.
There's more.
Don't be mean. I appreciate that. Yeah, Justin Bieber did steal my shit. Lunar looking fresh cut. I didn't actually get a haircut. I do need to get that. Damn, Zens, you're fucking wilding for that. I actually went and did the homework that you assigned me. Do you remember what homework you assigned me?
I forgot. It's been a while.
To go listen to that Yon Me Park episode.
Oh yeah, did you do it,
bro?
It's deep.
Oh my
it's so
God.
heavy. You could do an hour-long podcast just of the things you remember about what she said from it.
It was crazy to me.
Not that this is a companion podcast of anything, but still, you could.
Dude, like when you were explaining it to me, I was like, okay, maybe he's exaggerating.
That sounds crazy. Like for effect, telling a good story. Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. Nope.
Dude, it was
it's way worse.
What you said was exactly what it was and 10 times worse.
And way worse. Yeah.
It was insane what she had to
watching people like being like 7 trying to chase rats that are eating people. Yeah. So you can eat the rats for food that are eating people.
It's like a vicious cycle. And there's like in North Korea, I'm actually really fascinated in North Korea. Yeah. So it's kind of weird that I knew about shit like that, but I didn't know her story. But what was crazy is like there's in the North Korean language, there's not like a word for love. Mm-hmm. There's not a word for like companion. There's not like a word for, I can't remember some of them, but like a lot of those compassionate, emotional words that we use that are like empathetic, they don't even happen. Yeah. So they don't even have the choice to use those words.
Yeah, it's a feeling that you might feel, but then you get it confused because you can't think of it in your head.
Exactly.
How to explain it.
It's all like it's an entire country based solely off propaganda, and they'll kill you for some crazy shit. You have to have a picture of what's his nuts up there, and if they like bust in your house and it's not completely clean and there's not
if you didn't dust it,
yeah, they like
dead,
and they don't dead, or they like they imprison you for like 8 generations. 8 generations.
You and your kids and your neighbors, because they should have come in and found out somehow.
Fucking neighbors.
No.
Like, oh, well, him too. And there's no like, you can't marry up in class status. You only go down.
Yeah.
So whoever's the lesser, you go to that.
Mm-hmm. Which and you're there forever, crazy. And it never goes back up. I did hear that outside of that podcast, that I Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong-il. I forget which one he
It's
is.
one of them, dude. They're both fat. One of them's dead.
Yeah.
Who cares?
He was like a big fan of like James Bond and American action movies and those cheesy shoot 'em up shows.
Yeah.
And so he would watch those growing up, and then he wanted to base like his military style and like his like secret agency styles. Like, I want Jason Bourne's.
Yeah.
And so it's all the dumbest cheesy Hollywood stuff that he started basing that off of, instead of like actual military tactics and stuff at the very beginning. When he started getting some of that stuff.
It's so crazy.
It's the dumbest cheesy.
It is the
and he
dumbest
just
shit.
they talk about him just sitting there drinking Hennessy constantly. He's a horrible alcoholic.
Drinks
eating
wine all day.
obscene amounts of food.
Mm-hmm.
And then the sex slaves he has and the things he does to him.
Because, dude, he's
so
like
horribly graphic.
He's like 5'8", weighs like 310 pounds.
Yeah, and he had to go to get surgery and then he came out. I don't know if they just did stapled his stomach or something or what, but he came out looking better. But yeah, he's just a huge glutton with total power, shit ton of money, and can do whatever he wants to any human being that's ever around him.
Yeah, he can literally run anybody's life. Mukbang, thank you so much for the sub. You can shiggity wig wiggity big biggity bet that. It's good to have you out, Mukbang. Put some shiggities in the chat for Mukbang. Mukbang, that's 18 months in a row. Damn, I love you, dog. I hope you have a long life, and I hope your penis gets sucked soon. Who knows what other countries have done to make sure, what is it, the DRNC? What do they call it? Dominican Republic of North Carolina.
Democratic Republic of North Korea.
Oh, NK. There's no proof of any of that.
There's no proof of any of that?
I don't know. Well, there's no, I mean, I guess it's all speculative, right? It's a lot of stories. There's not like official documentation.
Yeah,
but you can just look at their people.
But when you have 20 or 30 people who've escaped and have all told basically the same story, and they weren't living next to each other, they weren't coordinated. Like,
it's like there's some. It's like if 50 people call you a crackhead, you're probably a fucking
Deshaun
crackhead.
Watson. Don't know what he did, but dude really wanted a hand job during massage. I don't know if it happened. We'll let the courts figure that out. But dude got really horny during massages.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't there. We don't know. We didn't see it happen. But
This
when
is true.
60 people say, "Hey, dude gets horny during massages,"
You probably get
at
horny
some
when you
point,
get massages.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's crazy.
Not legally guilty,
Allegedly.
but socially, we know.
Socially,
like,
we know what you do.
Yeah.
Dude, speaking of social shit, are you into DC at all? Like Superman? Did you watch the Last Justice
No,
League
I like
movie?
nerdy stuff, but I've never elevated to that more pop level of nerd
gotcha.
to that stuff.
Let me just update you. So there's a guy that plays the Flash. His name's Ezra Miller.
Uh-huh.
So he is the Flash. He's like the quirky, kind of like fun-loving, cracks jokes throughout the movies. It's honestly a pretty good
Like
dynamic.
Deadpool
Yes,
kind of vibe.
Deadpool,
Yeah.
but kind of like a nerdier Deadpool.
Yeah,
Not as cool.
gotcha.
But apparently Ezra Miller they're saying that he's kidnapped this 25-year-old mom and like her 2 kids, and they're living like at his ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, he's keeping them there captive. And everybody on Twitter is talking about he's kidnapping these girls. And then there was another girl that was like a Native American girl, and he started grooming her when she was like 16, and like the authorities haven't been able to find him. So he's in like a whole lot of trouble right now.
Oh, so he disappeared.
Yeah, he's like gone. But they're saying that he's at his ranch, but this ranch is huge. Like the dude was in one of the biggest DC movies. He could probably afford a pretty fucking big ranch.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you knew anything about it.
I don't know anything about it, but I don't. Kidnapping somebody today, like I get in like 1902, you could kidnap somebody, they're missing, nothing we can do about it,
right?
And they're just gone forever, and all that stuff. And there's like a chance, in like my brain trying to figure out the planning process, which is trying to make it rational. It's probably not,
right?
But still, like, oh, you could get away with it. Like you could do this in a criminal mind. You could figure out, okay, these are the steps of how I can get away with this. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, what are you doing?
They'll find a hair on anything.
Yeah,
they'll be like, we got a quarter fingerprint.
They used to not just county over, one city over. Like they used to not talk to each other. All those old serial killers and stuff, they could just move one city over, and it's like, yeah, it never happened.
Yeah, you could change your name.
Yeah,
Didn't they catch a dude years ago? He like killed a bunch of girls, moved, changed his name, had a wife and like 2 kids, and then they're like, we matched your DNA, and like he's like, yeah, it was me. Like he just changed his whole identity.
It was just totally
just different. Like, you're never gonna know, because forensics wasn't a thing. Like back in the 70s in Miami and shit, murder was so bad. It's like they never caught anybody. They had like a 90% rate of not catching anyone. Unless they caught you doing it, you weren't caught.
Yeah, I think still today, it's like a 51 or 52%.
You can get away with murder statistically more than you can get caught.
One of the shows I watched said like the people who get caught are people who know each other.
It's true. If you kill somebody anonymously, like if you're driving,
drive-by.
yeah, you
Like gang drive-by.
clack somebody, the likeliness that you're going to get caught,
It depends
low.
on where you're. But yeah, it's still kind of creepy to know that it's only like, we only solve about 52% of them or something like that.
Yeah, because if it is anonymous, it's like it's really hard to check a motive.
Yeah,
and then it's hard to find out.
You have to start with the victim and then start working your way out of everybody they know.
Did you see that shit on Netflix? That was like this husband. He killed his wife and his two daughters.
No.
And then he like called the cops and had them there and was like playing it off.
I saw it advertised, but I never.
Bro, he is so fucked up. I can't remember what he did with his wife.
Did they ever find him to be actually guilty?
Yeah, he snitched on himself.
Oh, okay.
He had dumped his daughters in some oil tanks, like outside of town. Like his daughters just like killed him and threw him, and strangled him, threw him in there, and killed his wife, and then was like being like the helpful. I don't know what happened. I talked to my wife 3 hours ago, and blah blah blah. And it's like you see the video of him like trying to explain it and trying to hyperinflate his emotions, and you're like,
acting, the Amber Heard thing of acting hurt and acting like this stuff.
Bro, have you seen her post interview at Amber Heard?
Yes.
She got ate up.
Yeah, she did worse. She made it worse.
She did.
It was already bad enough, and then she just kept digging.
That's the definition of I can't take an L. Like she cannot. They handed her that L. She couldn't take.
And I remember being like 12 or something, like little kid stuff, where like, I took $20 from my mom's purse or something stupid like that. Yeah. And then being obviously like, hey, it was you, and just nope.
No, yeah,
And I had it in my little kid head that like, as long as you never admit it, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. But I was 9 or something. Yeah. I couldn't imagine being an adult on that level of a thing publicly for tens of millions of dollars. It's still just like, nope.
She really shot the
sheets.
If
I never say no, then it didn't happen.
She really shot.
Did I tell you about when I lived in Tyler, the FBI came to our house because of kidnap murder?
What?
Yeah.
Elaborate. I gotta hear this story. So you're living in Tyler.
Living in Tyler. I had a house, and then I ended up getting 2 roommates. All college type vibe. I was in college way too long, so I can say while in college, and I was probably like 26. And
should have 3 degrees.
Yeah. And so the house was basically 3 college dude vibe, not cleaned up. So party the night before, and we weren't playing like beer pong. We were playing slap cup. Oh, it's the messiest of all the games
because you're
slap cup. You're slapping the cups off the table that might have beer left in them, so there's just beer flinging everywhere constantly.
That is so stupid.
Yeah. And anyway, so house set up that way. At like 8 a.m, there's a hard bangs on the front door. And I kind of just paused and like, maybe they'll go away if I just don't know. I didn't know who it was. And
they weren't saying,
FBI, open up. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay. And so I heard one of my roommates get up and I was like, shit. I wasn't doing any drugs at the time, but I don't know what, like I went to bed early and there was 15 people there. I don't know what anybody else did or left out, but it's in my house. So you can't say, I went to sleep. It's not my problem. And but that wasn't the case. There was nothing out there. I was just one concern I had. And then he opens the door. We're all standing at the door, and it's FBI agents, a detective, and then a couple police officers behind them in their patrol uniforms.
Damn.
And a German Shepherd.
They had a dog?
And they were like, hey man, so across the street over there was a little girl that is missing, and we suspect all these different things. No, but they were going house to house. We suspect all these things, and they were like, "Do you mind if we come in?" And he could see the look on all of our faces, like, "Bro, like I want to help, but I'm nervous." Like I don't know.
Legally, if they come in looking for the girl and you're doing other shit, they can't get you, right?
I'm not a lawyer, bro. I'm sure they can find a way. Sure. But he did, even though it probably wouldn't hold up in court or hold up as any evidence or anything. He did say, like, "Look, don't care what's in the house. We're looking for the girl. That's it."
Okay,
like, if we see, he was like, "If we see anything else, I don't care, man. Y'all look like, are y'all in college?" And we were like, "Yeah, yeah, dude." He's like, "We're not looking to bust a college party, man. We're looking for a little girl's body. Like, if we don't find that, then we'll just get in and out of here. We got bigger fish to fry than a joint, like a roach in an ashtray.
Damn,
like, we don't care."
That's crazy.
And so we're like, "Okay, man." We just took his word for it. Said, "Okay." Went through the whole house, every closet, every room. Peeked up into the attic, backyard. There was a shed. Checked the shed. Went and looked around the back part. There's a big burn pile in the backyard. So they went and checked that out. Checked everything out. Come to find out, like later that night, it's going to get sad and graphic. But they ended up finding this like sick, I forget her age, 6 or 9.
She was a
kid.
Yeah.
Found her in a well. Her uncle had been sexually abusing her for a period of time before that, and then he did it again and then killed her and dropped her in a well. She lived across the street. She was outside on her bicycle every day.
God.
They had a bunch of kids. It was a bigger family that was always outside, always playing. So we got to see him every day, wave and say hi to him and stuff.
Oh,
and he ended up taking that little girl and doing that. Yeah.
You
that was the
creepy uncles, man.
Most random Wednesday morning I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. Wow.
Which,
that's crazy.
Yeah, ended up being the most tragic thing possible.
Yeah, seriously. So. Jesus.
Yeah.
Question from the chat. Who smashed tuna the most between these two? I don't know. Who would you say?
You.
Yeah, it was probably me.
Yeah. I'm a shy, anxious, like...
You did your fair share.
Oh, no. Like, I wasn't a incel. But I also didn't go out and just like, you know what? If I want to tonight, I'll just keep asking and pull somebody. Like, I didn't play that game of like that. I would sit there and do my own thing, and if it happened organically, great. Yeah. But that also means it happens way less.
True.
So
yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
The game is tough. We'll get into
I never actually played it.
Never actually played it.
I've seriously never actually played it.
Javors, this is the same area we're typically in. We just switched up the setting a little bit. As you can see, the TV's still back there. These are some couches that they have, and I actually think this looks 1,000 times better. And it feels better. Don't you feel more open? You know, like the chair was really constricting. Well, at least, I don't know. You haven't been here. But I want to go back to, I wanted to talk a little bit about high school and the shit that we did in high school. Because I feel like a lot of people, because at college, we didn't really know each other. I mean, we knew each other, but I wasn't.
We hung out during holidays and maybe a random weekend. We're both in Paris, stuff like that, but not.
There's a lot of growth that happened that I didn't get to see, vice versa, and you didn't get to see. So let's go back to high school. So we met each other when you were probably, I think you were 15. I was 14. I think you were a freshman or a sophomore, maybe.
I had to have been because we were both in high school. So
yeah, I think you were a sophomore.
I would have to have been a sophomore. You were a grade below me. So.
Yeah. So, and then I met you, and dude, one of the memories I have of you is I think you were like 15 or 16, and we were like, let's get some alcohol tonight. And I was like, okay, shit, yeah, who are we going to hit up? And you're like, I'll just have my sister go get it. And like we would give her money, and then she would come back with like a bottle of Jim Beam. And I was like, "This is the easiest shit ever."
Everybody was so anxious and worried about. You got to talk to this guy at a gas station. You got to go out to some valley and sit there and ask a bum to like do this, do this, do this. And he's like, "I can just We've got some.
She'll go drive and get it.
My
give her
my stepdad's an alcoholic. He has like 15 bottles on stock in his closet. I can just go grab some Dewar's like Scotch whiskey, and we can drink better than everybody else at the party.
We were though, dude. I remember drinking good with you.
Hypnotic, Crown. That's when Sammy's dad was getting it for us. We would get stupid stuff.
Do you remember when we used to go out to
Hypnotic used to be a thing,
dude?
Hypnotic used to be
and Crown, Fight a Club,
and that's all we would get because of 2 songs.
Seriously though, we would buy Hypnotic because we heard it in songs, and it was the worst.
It was sugar, like it tasted good, and it had alcohol in it. I think that's all we really cared about at the time.
Oh my god. Oh shit! What was I going to say? So you remember when we used to go out to Bogota?
Yep.
Yeah, we'd go out to Bogota.
I'm trying to get back out there. You want to go?
Dude, I want to go. I already told you I want to have like a guys' weekend, and we go out there and just shoot some shit.
Okay, my cousin that goes out there and knows the guy who's running the cows and everything. I want to go out there with him once to kind of like meet everybody. So if I do randomly show up, they're not like, "Who the hell is this?"
Who the fuck
out
is
in
this?
our land and everything. So go out there one time with him, and then get comfortable with it. We can probably go whenever.
Right.
What's up, guns?
Mitch? Oh, dude, I would love to do that. What's up, Mitch? Billy Brew, what's good? Were you guys in the same class? We were not in the same class. He was a grade ahead of me. He graduated 08. I graduated 09. But dude, we used to go over to your place all the time, bro. We would tear it up. It was so much fun. I remember one time we got like, I don't know if I want to tell that story. That one was a little crazy. I remember backroading so much. And for some of you guys that don't know what backroading is, that's literally when you go and you do a substance or you drink alcohol or you smoke weed and you just drive around.
Drive down a back road. So like a dirt county road out in the middle of nowhere past pastures and go like 20 miles an hour and just not move and just keep continually going down back roads. And it's also something that like so many people did it in our town. It was such a standard practice that you could be backroading in the middle of random nowhere down a maze of stuff and drive past somebody like, oh, hey, there's so-and-so. They're doing it too. Like, it was like you'll be seen doing it.
Yeah. Oh,
because so many people are doing it.
Dude, everybody used to do it. We used to all do it. Mitch,
and then everybody would back road in their own little small groups going like, oh, where's the part? Oh, where's other people at? We need to hang out. I want to hang out with somebody. Let's socialize. And nobody would, or I mean, they would on occasion, but a lot of times it's a bunch of cars backroading and everybody free to do stuff and never just finding a place to get together and actually
I'm
hang
trying
out.
to remember, what was the biggest party we went to in high school? No roofs.
The one I threw, this isn't the biggest one, but the one I threw in that house in that 3-story house in Johnson Woods when my parents were selling it. So it was open, staged to be sold. And they were out of town too, so I knew they wouldn't show up the next day. Mm-hmm. And so invited 5 people. 5 people turned into 50.
Yeah, dude, it was so fucking lit.
Yeah, and the neighbors.
That house was clean as fuck, though.
It was a really cool house, and
it was so tight.
My parents, I'm pretty sure if I remember right, this could be fuzzy, I don't think they ever like talked to their neighbors or liked their neighbors, so they didn't have a relationship with them to where like, oh my god, how dare you, I have their number, I'm going to call them.
Yeah,
didn't have to worry about that.
I will say you had a pool at that house we never swam in.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was trash
because it was covered by trees.
It was surrounded by trees in the woods, and it was an above ground like 4-foot thing that was built into a deck on the side. It was weird.
Who ran into a ditch? Nobody ran into a ditch. There was this one time though, we were smoking out in I want to say it was a cornfield. Mm-hmm. And then Tyler had pulled off into this cornfield. He drives a GMC Sierra that has slicks on it. It has 20-inch rock stars, but like slick Pirelli racing tires. And so we're like, all right, Tyler, let's get out of here. He revs it. We're already getting stuck.
Yeah, it was stuck as soon as we stopped. As soon as you stop, all right, you're not getting out. We're done.
We eventually start pushing him, get him through this cornfield, and he's just running over stalks.
Well, because there was no direction. You couldn't steer. So you're just going in circles of wherever the truck decides to go. So it's just like
running stalks.
But I didn't want to stop the movement because I wanted to get out. So I'm just going to keep moving until we hit dry ground. And eventually we got it.
I remember that. Do you remember that?
Shit? Yeah. I barely remember because other stuff. Yeah. But anyways, yeah.
That shit was so much fun. I'm trying to think. You remember? So I was a poor kid in high school, and I lived on the west side. The west side of Paris is the Po side. The other side got money. And then when I graduated high school, my mom moved over to that side, but it is what it is. But I had an out-of-ground pool in a backyard, and I had like Christmas lights hung up. You remember this outdoor pool?
Yeah.
And we would literally just have like...
Oh, it was a Walmart air up. Like,
dude, it was terrible.
It was, yeah.
It was terrible.
It was a little kid's play pool.
Dude, it was so bad. And we would have straight up parties in my back porch with like dog shit out there. And
but like we were talking about with backroading, no matter how bad it was, people were just happy to have a place to go.
That's so true.
Doesn't matter how, it could be an empty, haunted, nasty barn out in the middle of a pasture somewhere, and they'd be like, oh, at least somewhere where we can park.
Yeah, that's true.
And not drive around.
That's so true, though. Was LOONAR rapping back then? I was with C-Note, but or Chris, my buddy Chris, I wasn't taking it serious. I was just doing it for fun. You know, I don't think you ever freestyled with us, did you?
No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Bro, new law. They FDA banned jewels.
Yeah. Yeah. That hurts.
Did you not stock up?
Nope.
There's people that are like buying a ton of them and hoarding them.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. They're already expensive as hell. If I tried to buy like 200 of them, how much? That's too much.
Yeah,
no, I'm not doing that.
That is a lot.
But I don't know if they're banning all e-cigs. I think it's just Juul. So I can keep buying this other stuff. And then if they ban those, then they have those nicotine, like fake dip pouches that you can put in. I guess I'll switch to that. And if they get rid of that, I'm dipping again.
Damn, for real?
Yeah, I'm going back to dipping.
So if they don't have some type of e-cig, you're going to start dipping again?
E-cig or replacement pouch or something.
Like, they'll have a replacement pouch.
Something.
Just don't start smoking squares.
No, I can't. Sober cigarettes are disgusting.
Here's my thing. Why'd they ban them?
I didn't read any of it.
Marlboro,
I have no idea.
Because I just saw that they did on Twitter. It's like Marlboro cigarettes are terrible for you. You know what I think? I think the big tobacco companies are like, get rid of these fucks. They're competition.
No. Marlboro bought Juul.
Oh, so that's why
they're closing maybe not Marlboro, but one of the major tobacco companies, Philip Morris, somebody bought Juul. And Marlboro, whenever a few years ago, whenever they were getting worried about the flavors, is it enticing children to smoke? And are you advertising to young people to get them to smoke the rest of their life, all that stuff. It wasn't even a law yet. And Juul said, fine, we're done with flavors. They cut flavors out before they even had to. So they only have tobacco, menthol, and Virginia tobacco, or, two different tobacco flavors and menthol. So they cut it out to get ahead of the laws to show like good faith, I think, or at least fake it.
Yeah.
And they still got banned. So no, they are the big tobacco companies.
Right. Well, that's what I don't get. It's like, how are you going to ban Juul, but you can go buy a cancer stick, like a cowboy
or
killer.
Any other kind of e-cig.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah.
Like, how did that get?
I don't know what Juul specifically has in it.
This is called Loon. This episode is sponsored by Loon. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by GG Subs.
It is tasty. If
you
they want to
can
send
get
some money.
10% off on GG Subs. Go to ggsubs.com and use code LOONAR for 10% off your next order. That's a fact.
There you go.
I said that I could mention them as a sponsor.
And if they want to send me some free ones, we can do
yeah,
that
maybe
too.
you can just start ordering them from another country. Maybe you can just order Juuls like you can, from that guy. I mean, that is kind of crazy when you think about it, Billy. It's like all these people that worked for Juul are just like, what happened to Juul's social media director? Did he just get canned?
Juul social media? What
Juul was a company, and they had they
probably had CEOs. They had
everything.
Project managers. They had accountants.
Dude, you know what we should do? We should just buy up a ton of Juuls since they got banned by the FDA, and we should sell them on the black market.
Yeah, or wait like 2 years.
And then sell.
And then
people
sell.
go like, "Oh my god, you got
the old school Juuls."
Yeah, you got the old school. It's like having Quaaludes in the 90s. It's like, you still got Quaaludes?
Dude, I'm so nostalgic. I remember in the 80s when I used to. Yeah, exactly.
Quaaludes. I don't think you can even buy Quaaludes.
It's like if you had like some stupid. I'm trying to think of like some stupid gum or candy or something from like the 90s that they stopped making, and you try to sell it on eBay now. You could probably make a shit ton of money.
Oh, dude,
Same
you
thing,
could.
Yeah.
Dude, you can get on Amazon and you can buy these candy kits that are from certain decades because they keep some of those decades. They keep making the candy, so like you can order a 90s box.
They'll make them at a higher price and all that stuff because they're not mass manufacturing, but you can still get it.
But me and Cass bought one like from the 90s, and it was like all the shit I remember eating as a kid. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have a heart attack eating this fucking candy.
But it's good.
A lot of it was so bad. Oh yeah, Four Loko got banned too.
I thought that's been done.
Oh, that's been done.
Yeah,
because it looked too much like an energy drink, and you drank one of them.
Not looked. It was an energy drink. It didn't look like one. It had more. If I remember right, when they first came out, it had more alcohol in it than most canned drinks.
Yes, it did.
And it had energy component to it.
What had the guarana or whatever? It was like that plus the alcohol. That they're like, you can't.
You're mixing in categories of regulated substances here.
You can't do it. It sucks, man, because I remember drinking. You drink one Four Loko?
I've never drank one.
You've never
had one? No. As soon as they came out, I heard immediately because we were probably underage when they first came out.
Yeah, true.
And I immediately heard stories of dumb 19-year-olds drinking one because they're drinking a can. I can have a can of anything and be fine. Drinking one, it's like, oh yeah, I threw up in my dad's truck that I was like getting into, and like trash this, wrecked. Like it was all like horror stories, and I was like, all right. Don't do that. That's fine. That's
definitely
easy.
don't do that.
Don't do that.
Apparently, from what I'm seeing here, is it looks like Four Lokos is still around. They just had to remove the caffeine. So they're putting caffeine and alcohol.
Yeah, it was an energy drink with booze.
I don't even know.
And a lot of booze.
Yeah.
It wasn't 4%.
Dude, it was so strong.
Yeah.
And those cans were supersized.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, fuck. Have you ever drank one of those full-ass monsters? Like a full monster?
No, because I would die.
Or like a Red Bull? Dude, I can only do the slim mini can Red Bulls.
And I don't finish those.
You know
me
hard.
with my alcohol my
alcohol tolerance is really high.
I'm used to associating tolerance with that word, but no, my caffeine tolerance. I can have one gulp of coffee and I'm freaking out for 2 hours. When I drink a 5-hour energy, I do like aftershave dab on my tongue,
and you're like,
and I'm like, okay, it picked me up a little bit. That's fine. Right. I can't. When I do buy a Red Bull, I drink the first like eighth of it, and then set it there and never finish it because I'm already wired. Like I just can't.
That's crazy.
I can't do caffeine.
I
couldn't imagine actually drinking pre-workout. I might die.
Yeah, you're really high strung though. See,
my resting heart rate's like 98.
That's so high.
Can you
do you have high blood pressure?
No, not high blood pressure. Just maybe have a tiny heart. I don't know. Just
a little baby heart?
A little hummingbird. You
got a little hummingbird.
Yeah, just going. But no, my resting heart rate's like 98. I can't. I don't need caffeine. I'm already I'm
already jacked
when I'm asleep. Like it's already up.
I wonder what your resting heartbeat is when you sleep.
If it goes down, I don't know.
You know what I think it is I think you ate so much candy as a kid that it fucked you up now.
I'm actually traumatized.
Because Ron White talks about that. You ever hear him talk about that? Like, okay, Ron White talks about like everybody in their life has a certain amount of everything they can consume.
He said, that's why when he said he quit drinking.
Yeah, because he's like, I drank mine up.
Everybody, they're born with a certain amount of alcohol they can drink, and I drank mine earlier than most
he's
people
like,
did.
I just finished myself off. Yeah, that's how it is. Should probably get an EKG just to be safe.
I did. I went to a doctor, got an EKG, did everything. They were like, high heart rate, but the rhythm's fine. Like they were like, everything's fine.
And then, that's good.
Yeah, all that was fine. And then I did end up taking beta blockers for a while, prescribed beta blockers for a while, and that brought it down to like an 85, like closer to normal.
Yeah,
and it was fine. So
You're not on the beta blockers anymore.
I'm off of those for the moment for personal side effect reasons.
For personal reasons,
because when it hurts, it lowers your blood pressure, lowers your heart rate. It also lowers excitement in general. Yeah. And so I was like, nah, not worth it. I'd rather be shaky and have a high heart rate. It's worth it. So,
I can't really blame you on that, though. Yeah. I can't really. Okay, let's go back. We got way off the track here.
Is there a track?
Not really. We're just kind of bullshitting. Let's go back to high school. So we used to go out to Pagoda. We would shoot out there. And I remember this. I'm not going to say a name, but I am going to tell a story. We went out there with a few girls one time. Mm-hmm. And there was one of these girls that, I don't know if you guys have ever went to high school with a girl like this, but like she drinks one sip of anything and she's drunk.
Or acts drunk.
For
attention.
For mad attention.
And I'm not saying that like the douchebag. Oh, dude, she's just acting drunk. No. I'm not saying that. We went out there with like a Coke bottle of the only whiskey we could get. And it was probably filled that much up at the bottom, like an inch from the bottom of whiskey, which is 2-3 shots total.
Yeah, if even.
That's all we had. And she was like
loopy, falling.
No. But she didn't drink all of it. We all drank, like trying to even it out. And then it went back to her with only having some in the corners of the bottle. And then she like threw it back, dabbed it on her tongue, and set it down. And there were still those little drops left that she didn't finish. So like just physically, scientifically,
she's not drunk.
You can't be drunk off that. That's like Listerine, like swishing your mouth with Listerine.
There's more alcohol content.
Like so we're not being douchebags and inconsiderate about how much she drank.
Oh no,
it's not like she had 3 beers and like, well, her tolerance might just be low. No, she didn't drink anything. Sorry, I wanted to interject that before people started assuming
she weighed 100 pounds. No, she did not. She was actually. It was crazy, dude.
It was an act.
I remember going out there and she acted so drunk, and I was like, I just remember being like, I know you're not that drunk because I know what we brought.
Yeah,
we all split. So hard. Yeah, I knew it. We all split it, and there was like 5 of us.
I could have drank that by myself, and I'm not. Everybody's tolerance is different, but I'm skinny and all that stuff. Like I could have drank that by myself and been like, okay, I got a little buzz going. Look at this.
Yeah,
but we like 5 of us split it.
Yeah, it was
5 of us split 3 shots, and she didn't even take her shot.
Because we were so broke at the time. Yeah. We were like, we just need something.
Oh, we couldn't get anything. Yeah. But anyway, sorry. Continue.
You got to get some ex-girlfriend from high school on this show. I'll try to find an ex I can get on this show. Would your ex do the show?
I wouldn't ask. There's no way.
Ignite some shit?
There was no. It'd be so. Gotta be careful. I want to be nice to people.
I don't highlight anything that's super personal. I usually highlight just stupid stuff. So
I'd be worried about me. Like I'd be worried about
what? You saying something mean to her?
No, about it embarrassing me.
Oh, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah. See, you don't have that.
I have no shame.
You have no shame, and I have all the shame. I have enough for both of us. so like any story that came up that's embarrassing, any of that stuff that she would talk like, nope, don't want none of that.
That's funny, bro. No. That's so funny. So yeah, we used to go out to Pagoda. What was another party that we went to? We used to go to Sam's house all the time. His house is pretty lit. Who else's house did we go to?
Farmhouse or not
their farmhouse is split. Remember that one time after prom we went out there and it was like literally like 200 high school kids and we were hammered and they had a keg.
It was the perfect high school
dude
party. Nobody got in a fight that I remember. Nobody got in a fight. Everybody was happy. Nobody got so out of control that they were sloppy in a bad way. It was a nice like movie. Drink a few beers and have a high school
dance on your girlfriend, make out with her,
and have tons of speakers and everybody getting along with each other from different schools.
Yeah.
Unless there's something I missed, that was one of the best.
That was your senior year, right?
Happy parties that we went to. I think it was after senior prom. I think.
Yeah. I think because I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Dude, the girl that I had brought that year.
I think it might be the last time I hung out with Jacob.
Damn.
Me and him kicked it for like a year, or me and Jacob kicked it for like an hour or two at that party. With Brandon and some other people. I think that was the last time I hung out with him.
Man, I want to tell this story, but I don't want it to tarnish his legacy. Okay, I'm just not going to tell it.
Careful.
I'm going to tell it. Dude, okay, so I do remember being at this pastor party and dancing with the girl that I was with. I had an Ed Hardy shirt on, or it was an Affliction shirt, like a $60 Affliction shirt. Afterwards, I had to bring her home, so I didn't drink. I had to bring her home, but her mom had drove down from a different town. And then she had gotten a room at the La Quinta, like one of the suites or whatever. And so there's like a bedroom in one, and then you open the door and there's like a little pull-out couch. And I'll never forget, like afterwards, I stayed with her in that La Quinta with her mom in the other room and just like grabbed her butt. And that was like all I did. I was like, this is so fucking whack,
That was peak excitement after your
But
prom.
dude, I was gassed. I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, yay. But
going back to the hotel, and her mom's
and
there.
her mom's like, hey, how was it going? I'm like, fuck.
We cuddled.
Yeah. Do you remember that one time we did a New Year's at your place?
No, maybe if you start talking about it.
Okay, so it was like
which
it was
house?
Like
Because
CK
I had
was
15 houses.
CK was there. CG was there.
Yeah. I don't remember. The people don't matter. Like, which house was it?
This is the house that we used to blow sticks, 15 sticks a day during the summer.
Okay, that house, New Year. Yeah.
We had a big New Year's Eve party. That shit was so much fun, bro. That was probably one of my most New Year's.
That was the best house we had because I was in high school and had a house to myself.
Tyler had a house to himself in high school.
Yeah, my mom moved.
That's what I'm saying. Tyler was the friend to have, bro. He literally had his own house. He's 17.
She moved. No, that wasn't in high school. It was after. That wasn't in high school.
That was in high school.
Where was she? She didn't. She moved like right after I graduated. Yeah. Paige had the house to herself when I was in high school. When she was in high school. Was I still in high school? My timeline's all messed up.
I want to say it was either the year after or you were still because you moved to Tyler.
Yeah. Well, we went to Lubbock and then I went to Paris.
But you weren't in Paris long.
Yeah.
No, it was afterwards because Chris, I remember he marched one summer and wasn't there. But the next summer he was there.
That was so.
I think
the year we had it to ourselves full time was after high school, but during high school she was still in it and we could hang out. She might have just been out of town or something.
Yeah, dude, that house is so much fun. We would literally go over there and it was like, think about being a 17-year-old kid. Getting to do whatever you want.
House to yourself. But I will say, like, not that we weren't doing your young, stupid high school irresponsible things, but I will say we were pretty good at like, okay, we have a good thing going on here.
Let's not fuck this up.
If we invite 50 people over, it
was the exclusive. It was like the elite club. We're like, hey, you want to go over to Tyler?
And then if somebody else shows up, it's like they can't come in because we're not ruining this. We have a good setup here. We can be autonomous and have our own thing going on. Mm-hmm. Don't ruin it for us. Dude, we can have 12 people over. That's fine.
That's it.
But we were having so once we had more responsibility of not ruining it, we did okay.
Yeah, we did. We did okay. Pretty well. I'm trying to think. Was my house before that?
Yeah,
I think my place. And then whose place was it before? It was like that back room. So dude, let me tell you about this back room at my dude. It's so bad. So I lived on the west side of town, and I think somebody had built like a little addition off the back of our house. I think my dad did.
Yeah.
I honestly really couldn't tell you. Yeah. It was a music room. In this room, it was like carpeted walls. Everything was carpeted. It smelled just like burnt cigarettes.
It was a shed attached to the house that they put carpet on the walls to dampen sound. And it was the old high school, like, shitty carpet on the walls. And it's like, it's a music room now because it dampens. It was a shed attached to that.
It was a shed, essentially. So, my dad, eventually my parents get a divorce or whatever. And then my mom's like, well, nothing's in that back room. If you want to clean it out, that can be your room to hang out in. My dad had built in a fan that would suck out the smoke and push it outside. That's how you knew my dad was super big into drug dealing because he had a fucking fan in there. So we would get in there. I remember, I don't know if you were there. I'm pretty sure you were. It was me, you, and Clint. We cleaned out that whole area.
Yeah.
We put out like a little Bowflex in there.
Oh, black lights.
And we were like, this is it.
A little roll out magnet dartboard.
Yeah, like that was our spot.
It was for a while. Time. It was better than any other option, and for us, it felt like
we didn't want to drive around.
It felt like a castle for the moment.
It did feel like a castle.
It was amazing in the moment.
You go back and think about that, you're like, that was hype.
That was, but because what else would you get? Like
we had nothing else.
If you've only eaten if you're living out in the woods and you've only eaten like bugs and raw whatever, like trash food, like just sketchy food your whole life, and then you go into town for the first time ever and somebody gives you a Snickers,
you're like,
oh my god, a Snickers is like, did God make this?
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And so we were kind of like that, like we were riding around in a car just circling the loop over and over again so we could hang out without parents around. And then we finally had that place and it's like, oh, there's a Shangri-La.
Dude, it was amazing. Awesome, dude. We had so many good times back there. And then after that, it was like our back porch, and then we did your place for a bit. And then when Clint's parents were out of town, we would like go over there.
I missed all of his parties.
Something
happened every time he had a party at his house. I could never make it for.
Let me tell you a crazy story about when we were at Clint's. His parents know this, so I don't even care that they know. So, and I'll keep it anonymous so I can clip this. So one time I was at a high school party. And it was my buddy, and we had a bunch of people there. There's probably like 20 people there. I'm not sure if you were there. Either way, there's like 20 people there, and the guy that's the host of the party gets the bright idea to be like, hey, I want to play baseball in here. And we're like, you're not going to play real baseball. He's like, no. I'm going to grab this wine bottle, throw the ping pong ball at me. Let me back up a little bit. His parents had bought like a brand new 60-inch HD TV, which back when they were $3-4 grand. You know
when they were first starting.
Like, this is an expensive TV. So he's like, let's play baseball. So an empty wine bottle, right? Somebody throws him a pitch. He misses the first one. Throws him a second one. He swings. It slips out of his hand and goes straight through the wall, like 6 inches from the TV.
And no, it was 6 inches away from hitting the TV.
Yes.
It was also 2 inches from hitting a girl in the head.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It almost murdered somebody.
Almost hit a girl in the head, and there was a lamp there, like a glass lamp. It didn't hit any of it, so there's just a fucking
and it was a full baseball player, full swing.
Oh, yeah. And so we pull the wine bottle out. This girl's not hit. We pull the wine bottle out. It's just a straight bagel-sized hole. Mm-hmm. So Clint's like, we have to fix that. And I'm like, not right now.
Not right now.
We wait till the next day. We go like do this.
It's like hours before his parents get home.
Yeah. Literally. Like,
so it's the plaster's still wet.
Yeah, it's like shiny. And we patch up this wall in the most shit way. And then his parents are like, yeah, so what's that?
Yeah.
And he's
as soon as they walk in.
He's like, well, he did tell his parents, but yeah, that was a wild story. I remember one time we were partying at your house, and there was a dude turning onto the street.
Yeah,
and he turned so hard that he like straight broke his axle.
He loved his car, had a Subaru fixed up, and loved it so much, and drove fast everywhere, went and did all that stuff. And he was coming in off the loop, probably going 65 or something, and tried to just take a right turn. And his wheel just said, "Nope, can't do it."
Yeah,
and then went totally sideways underneath his car. Somehow he kept pushing it to my house.
I don't know how he did it.
I think he was dragging that, like,
yeah,
just dragging that wheel all the way to the house.
Dude,
parked in front of
you know
the
what it just made me think of? You remember that random ass country party we went to with that dude who pissed over his shoulder?
Yes.
What's his name? Like Ashley or something?
I have no idea. I never knew him, but he
preface it and like I want to tell this story.
Okay.
So here's what happened. I don't know who invited us to this party, but it's a straight up like mobile home party out in the middle of nowhere. It's like halfway outside of Paris.
We were with Debo and
Cliff. Oh, we were? Yeah. I don't know why they knew these guys. Anyway, we're going out to this like mobile home party that's out in the sticks, like 10 minutes outside of Paris. Paris is already in the sticks. And it's a mobile home. And then there's like some dudes out there, boots, like overalls. They're just hanging out, shooting the shit. And we get there and there's this dude that's like bragging about how far he can pee. He's like, man, I could pee over that car. And we're like, no, you couldn't. He's like, all right, let me get 2 more beers and I'm going to piss over that car. And little did we know he had 2 more beers.
He didn't just piss over it, though.
He cleared it.
No. He didn't just piss over it and cleared it. He stood with his back to the hood.
Yeah, I know.
He pissed over his shoulder past his head and then cleared the car.
Yeah,
that way. So he did it backwards.
Yeah, it was an insane distance.
It sounds ridiculous, and we thought it was ridiculous when it happened. And then one of our friends like was trying to figure out the physics of it, like how could this be possible? And so he was just thinking out loud. It was like, you must have a tiny dick hole. Like you must have a tiny one because of all that pressure going through a really concentrated place.
Seriously.
Well, you heard him say that, and he was like, "You saying I got small? You saying it's small? You saying it's small?" I got really mad. Then it almost turned. We were in awe, and somehow he got mad and wanted to fight because of it. Because country guys like to fight.
Country guys like to fight, man.
Yeah, so we almost got in a fight over him pissing.
He was a legend, though. I remember him. I'd never seen it.
Still haven't seen anything like that. And the internet has everything imaginable on it, on YouTube and everything. I haven't seen somebody
piss over a Datsun.
It's not just the feet distance he made; it's also the arch.
He had to get that arch
over his shoulder, over the car.
A Datsun truck. Yeah, now those Datsuns aren't that big, but I bet you can't piss over a Datsun. Oh my god!
A Datsun? What's a Datsun?
Datsun truck.
I don't know what a Datsun truck is.
Datsun is like that small shit truck. This wasn't like a Silverado. This wasn't.
Oh, it wasn't a 350.
It wasn't a GMC.
Yeah, it wasn't a King Ranch. Yeah, it wasn't a King Ranch for sure.
It was a Datsun truck.
I don't know what a Datsun is. I still don't. But yeah, okay.
I almost want to Google it on
like
your
a Ford Ranger.
No, Google what a Datsun truck is. It's literally like it's like a smaller Ford Ranger.
So smaller Ford Ranger. It wasn't that small,
dude. It was a Datsun. It was not. It was a Ford Ranger Max. It wasn't a.
Yeah, I thought it was like a Ford Ranger.
Okay, yeah, it was around that. But those.
But a '90s Ford Ranger were even smaller than they are now.
Yeah, it was a beat up ass older truck. The Datsun trucks. Do you see them? See, that's what he pissed over.
Well, okay,
Stats.
Levi's using that as an example. It wasn't actually that truck.
No.
That's like an El Camino. It was a truck.
It was a truck, but it was a small truck.
Yeah, like an old Tacoma or an old Ford Ranger.
Yeah. It was definitely not a full-size GMC
No.
E350 King Ranch. Yeah, it was not.
Either way.
Okay,
still,
no, that
was bizarre.
Maybe he was pissing up wind. I don't know.
I wouldn't have. There's not enough wind.
Mm-hmm. What's the one? Do you ever remember like having to run from the cops at a party?
I never ran from the cops at a party. Nope.
Really?
Nope.
You would always sit there and talk to them?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think I've been to that many parties where the cops showed up. Went to plenty of them, and the few times they did in Paris, we kind of knew the rules of. I mean, if you have people spilling outside, if you're at that big of a party, you can't avoid it. But most of the parties I went to were like in an apartment, in a house, in somewhere like that, and there was 20 people, 30 people. And when the cops come and bang on the door, everybody kind of knew the system.
Shut up.
They don't have a warrant. So everybody immediately shut up, turn the lights off, and just sit there in silence until they leave. And then they leave. When they leave, they accomplish their goal. They wanted everybody to be quiet because neighbors complained. So we're quiet for 20, 30 minutes. They leave, and then people leave one at a time, and it's over. Yeah. But I've never been in a house party where the cops walked in the door and said, "All right, everybody circle up," and do that. I've never had that.
I don't think I've had that either. I think we knew a couple people in high school that got like MICs letting cops in and shit like that. But
they were going to those parties that were like, there's 150 people there.
Yeah, it's not smart to go to parties that big, dude.
I don't know that we did that very. We had a few, but
we did a lot of pastor parties. We did some house parties.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we first started getting into the house party scene, I was like, oh shit, I feel like I'm.
Yeah, there was one, if you remember, where I wasn't as cool with some of your closer friends as you were, but I don't even think it was a weekend. I think it was like a Tuesday during school in high school, and a couple of your friends that lived in the same neighborhood came over, and we were bored. 4 of us, I think, me, you, Clint, and them two. 5 of us maybe.
Yeah.
And let's just play beer pong with water. And so we set up downstairs in that 3-story house. We set up a fold-out table. We did that. Still light outside on a Tuesday during school. Like, we're just hanging out doing this. And then one of your boys said, "Hey, is it cool if I invite this person over?" Yeah. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, one more guy to come hang out? Like, we'll hang out for a few hours at the house. Like, cool. Let's have a few guys over." And then that turned into the small-time Paris version of, what's that movie, X?
Project
X that we had. That guy invited 2 more people, My parents were home.
Oh, I remember
They were
upstairs. I remember.
My parents were home and upstairs, and 50 people showed. Their cars circled the cul-de-sac, went down both sides of the street, and then went down and started piling around and down the other street, and were packed up. And people were walking down the street with bags of stuff and
it was
6-packs and doing all this.
He lived
and we're having like a festival downstairs, and my mom called after like 30. It took her a weird long time to do this. After like 30 people showed up, she was like, "Hey, so what you doing? Like, what's happening?" I was like, "Hey, I don't know what's happening. They invited some people over. It's kind of out of my control right now, but I'll try to get it under control." And she was like, "All right, just make sure they leave. Like, you can't do this. Like,
this isn't okay.
It's Tuesday. Yeah. Like, you can't do this."
Dude, I remember that.
And then more and more people kept coming. I had zero control over it, and I was just like, "Hey, guys, we got to stop." And then your friends were like, "No, like they just tried to take over, and because they could get clout off of it without having to take any of the consequences. So they were just like, no, we're going to keep running, keep it going. And they antagonized everything.
Yeah.
More and more people kept going. It went on for 4 hours, 5 hours.
Yeah, it was a long time.
I got 15 calls from my mom. Like, "Hey, there's more people. Like, Tyler, I'm looking out the window.
They're walking.
There's 70 cars outside. Like, what is that?" So that one got out of hand. That was a fun house party that we ended up having, that I was just anxious, freaking out the whole time. But it seemed like it was fun for everybody else.
Oh yeah, hosting parties is the worst.
Yeah, but I never got in trouble.
Yeah, you never did.
She was like, "Tyler, that was stupid. You can't. And I was like, I know it wasn't. I didn't want it to happen. I told him to go home. Like,
but I'm gonna do it.
There's a mob, and I'm not in control of it.
What am I gonna do?
It happened to me. Like, I don't know.
Well, that's how it is in a small town, though. It's like once you hear one person's doing something, they're like, "All right, well, bring it on." So let's transition a bit. So when you went to college, you went to Texas Tech for a little bit, and then immediately went to Tyler.
Yep.
Right. Why didn't you like Tech?
So I started out as a pharmacy major. I was horribly irresponsible. Both my parents are pharmacists, so I was going to do that. Horribly irresponsible. Didn't study. Didn't try. Didn't do anything. And when you're taking organic chemistry in your first semester, I don't know why they get their first semester people, I guess to weed people out.
Yeah.
Taking OChem your first semester when you're in a frat, learning to not be in Paris anymore, having fun, trying to meet people, do all that stuff. It was bad. So I didn't fail, but I made C's and just wasn't doing great. The frat we were in was lame as hell. I won't say, I don't want to, whatever.
It was the lamest
frat. It wasn't the lamest one.
Close to.
But it wasn't what I wanted it to be as a frat.
Why was it so lame?
Dude, there was a guy who came, it might not have been the president, but one of the guys at the head of the frat came up to me and Clint and this other guy we met from San Antonio that was like us.
Yeah.
He came up to us at a party because us three were standing at the corner going like, really? This is
it?
They had money.
Oh, okay.
One of the guys had a private jet. He flew back to Houston on weekends and stuff.
Like, so the budget was there.
They had the budget and the setting was nice. But the people sucked.
Oh, really?
So bad. They were so lame. It was all the nerdy guys who didn't have friends in high school all got together and said, we have a lot of money. Let's make it really cool here now.
Yeah.
And so me, Clint, and this other guy, we're hanging out and we're like, did you do this in high school and already get out of your system? Yeah. There's better ways to have it was like the first time they ever had a party. Like they didn't know how to do stuff in a fun, cool way. Oh, and they didn't know how to talk to girls. They didn't know how to socialize right and everything. Oh. So one of the guys in the frat at one of the parties came up to me, Clint, and the other guy we were talking to. It was like, hey guys, he had like a serious talk with us. He was like, hey guys, like, look, I get it. Like, y'all are cool. Y'all were probably cool in high, like, y'all are cooler than us. Like, he wasn't being sarcastic or douchey. He was like, we get it. Like, y'all are cooler than us, but like, we really need you to participate more because like maybe that could help us. Or, like he was acknowledging that like, yeah, we're nerdy and lame and we
need help,
buy in. Yeah. So we can like raise this up a little bit. And we're like, dude, hey, I haven't given you a dime. That's how they were set up for it. Like we didn't even pay for it. Like there's 200 people here, you're the president, and there's this order of I can't just go in there and me being not the
even a
most
pledge.
Extroverted person in the world. Yeah. I'm not going up in front of all these people who are 4 years older than me, like who've been in it for years, who think they know the rules, and say like, actually, that's lame as shit. Here's what we're going to do to actually have fun. Let's get this party under control. They wanted us to buy in. So like a couple years down the road, we could to make it better and better and better. But in that moment, I was like, dude, I can't buy into this for 2 years until I have the ability to make it better. Like I'm out, can't do this. So it was just super nerdy, and because they were super nerdy, the sororities that they matched up with were super nerdy. So it's like, oh, it's us and this sorority party joining together,
right?
And you had to pick a house for each party you had, and they were like they were so bad. It was like it was a party that our frat put on. Their sorority came over, and I remember trying to dance, and then the girls would be like, yeah, no, we can two-step, but you have to stick your arms out. I can't do like, I wasn't trying to be like gropey, gross or anything, but it's like, let's dance.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, full arm. Like they didn't even need the teacher to say, make room for Jesus. They just did it on their own. They made room for Jesus on their own, two-stepping. So it's like you're touching each other's shoulders, like with your feet, like, okay, and trying to two-step the whole night. And that was it. I was like, all right, I'm not trying to be like creepy frat dude, but this is too far. You're not having fun.
I'm going to get another beer. How long were you in the frat? Keep talking. I'm listening.
1 semester.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, so we have 1 semester. I actually did have fun because it was easy to be cool around all those people because they weren't. Yeah, exactly. And then they had a sand volleyball pit in the backyard. Got to do that all the time. They connections to all the drinks and everything you would ever want. We didn't need anything. But a frat's supposed to be basically you buying friends, and not in a negative way where you buy friends because like you don't actually care about each other, but no, you buy into something.
Yeah.
And then you do end up liking some of the people, making a connection with them and forming the brotherhood and all that stuff. None of those guys was going to happen with me that way.
Damn,
like none of them were.
Huh?
Yeah. Some of them were better than others, but
was it a massive chapter? Was it a big group?
Ooh, there was probably we probably had 30 or 40 pledges that year.
That's a big class.
Like just in our class.
Yeah, that's a lot of pledges.
And then there was the three above it. So
Right.
that might have been bigger or smaller.
Yeah,
but
that's quite a bit of pledges. 40 pledges?
Dude, they had their own at Tech. They have this neighborhood that's all the frat and sorority houses, and they're all these mansions with giant backyards and sand volleyball pits and soccer, like everything.
I've been to one of them. It's insane.
Yeah. So it was one of those. It was really nice. They were nice. It was cool. I heard stories about other frats, and I'm like, if I would have actually rushed,
yeah,
I probably would have linked up with another one and done that. But we didn't even rush. Me and Clint was walking down to go to class one day and talk to this guy. And he was like, yeah, man, hey, we need some more people. And Clint was like, all right, we'll show up.
Where's the party at?
We showed up and got in just by showing up because they needed bodies. People.
Yeah.
And maybe because nobody picked them. And
probably.
So we just got in, which got us connections to people and drinking and parties and going out and doing stuff. It's just I couldn't connect with any of the people that were in it. So did that at Tech. I left because of a little bit because I just didn't vibe with Lubbock, didn't vibe with the college campus there.
It's like a 7-hour trip from
Lubbock
Paris.
has a ton of restaurants. Very few of them are good.
Yeah. Well, it's isolated. It's just like Abilene. It's just like there's Lubbock, there's Abilene.
There's a lot of stuff there. It's just I didn't like any of it. So it's just personal preference.
West Texas ain't all that, man.
I mean, if you're gonna be in West Texas, Lubbock is the place to go. I guess.
It's the best place to be.
But did that, so I came back to Paris, and also school. I was like, I'm not doing pharmacy. Organic chemistry right off the bat.
So hard.
Like this is gonna be the rest of my college experience. Is just this stuff. Nope, I'm out.
Was it really that hard?
No, it wasn't that hard. I just hated it.
Oh yeah.
I passed.
Chemistry sucks.
I passed, and like it was fine. Chemistry. And I didn't study, didn't try, and I still made a C. If I would have applied myself, I could have mentally done it. I just hated every second. It's word math with no formula.
Ew.
You just have to memorize it. Like the ides, amines, acids, all the different categories of things.
Yeah.
There's 3 that follow a pattern, and they're like, yeah, so there is a pattern to the language of this, but only these first 4 follow it. The rest 90, you just have to memorize.
Yeah,
no, I don't care about any of this.
I remember I took chemistry with Mr. Baggerly, and I had to go to his class every day.
Oh, he was a great teacher, though.
He was a good teacher.
One of the best teachers I've ever had my whole life. He was great.
I just couldn't grasp the whole chemistry thing.
Yeah, but you're stupid. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm joking. No, you're actually
Speak your
not.
Truth, dude.
You're actually not. It's you require interest to learn.
Yes, that's very true. I feel like
you can't fake interest. I don't require interest in something to be like, fine, if I have to do it, I'll learn it and figure it out. You refuse to do that.
Yeah, I can't.
If you don't like it and if you're not hyped about it, then you just shut your brain off. And
my brain doesn't work for shit like that. Dude.
Yeah,
like history, I'm like, I don't care.
I don't care, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
No matter what the consequences are, I'll fail this class, not graduate. I'm not learning it.
Did you cheat in any classes in college?
Oh, so many.
Really?
Oh, wait, in college? Not in college. In high school, so many.
Oh, okay. Well, what classes did you cheat in high school?
Spanish, for sure.
Really? Who let you cheat off them?
Oh, no. In Spanish, I found at Office Max, there's this binder, like little binder thing that had this white fog borderline transparent, borderline transparent plastic on the outside. And so I would write in permanent marker. It's a vocabulary test. I'd write all the words, vocabulary test, all that. And then during the test, I would lay it on the ground and you can't see through it. Like, it's like, oh, my binder's on the ground. I'm not cheating. And then the teacher would do their little circle. When they walked away, I'd put my foot down on it. And when you press,
it's transparent.
Then I have a full page of all the answers on the thing. I'd press and then lift it up. Pressed and lifted up. And I got through Spanish. But
that's genius.
It ended up not even mattering because our Spanish teacher's dad got cancer. So she left for the year. We had a substitute teacher for Spanish who didn't know Spanish. So we skated through that. And then in Spanish 2, our teacher got pissed because nobody knew Spanish 1. We learned nothing.
We didn't have a teacher.
Year.
We had a sub.
Yeah, we
learned don't teach.
So in Spanish 2, she tried to teach Spanish 1, but we kept just complaining. Oh,
we already know this.
We don't know how to do anything. We just complained until she broke.
She's like,
and so we barely learned Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, and then in Spanish 3, which was optional for that at that point, Miss Hudson.
She was actually a good teacher.
She was a great teacher. If you cared and you tried, she was an amazing teacher. Yeah. If you were a slacker, she was awful for you because she would call you out so hard
all the time.
But she was an awesome person, awesome teacher. I was the slacker. Like, I don't give a shit about any of this. So so I didn't learn Spanish 1, and I'd already passed Spanish 2. So I go into Spanish 3. First day, she walks into class and speaks nothing but Spanish. And she's going around asking people questions in Spanish. And the only thing I could say, no sé.
No sé.
No sé. No.
Te llamo Tyler.
The first day of class, she asked me 5 questions. And though I didn't understand a word, I was no sé. No sé. That's all I did. And at the end of the class, it was like, this probably isn't going to work out. And I was like, yeah, you're right. So I went and got my schedule changed on the first day. And got up. I ended up taking.
She hit you with this.
This isn't going to work. I ended up taking wildlife management with Mr. Etherly.
Okay, Mr. Etherly was cool.
That was a dope ass class.
Yeah,
that was so much.
He
fun.
didn't give a shit though.
Dude, our final semester exam was the hunting license certification test.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I got my hunting license certification in the class and got 100 on. Yeah.
Well, it was teachers like that at the end of the class you actually did something. You actually got you got your hunting license or AutoCAD. You got
got our hunting license. We went out and shot bows and arrows.
Yeah, that shit's
out at the ag barn. We ended up
ag barn.
We ended up watching them clamp cow balls and castrating a cow, and how that worked.
You saw that?
Yeah, they had all kinds.
Is it gruesome watching a cow?
I was in there with Johnny Hooper doing that.
I bet he.
Can you imagine Johnny Hooper's excitement?
Get it,
yeah, because he's on that below average. Dude, he's on all that.
His IQ is single digit.
Yeah,
man. This kid was slow, bro.
So him and his crazy excitement watching all that stuff happen with you remember that little blonde girl that was like Dylan's cousin, but she was from Rockwall.
She was weird.
She was weird, but
I do know who that is. I don't know her name.
And she had the weirdest attitude, but then cute.
Yeah, she was kind of cute.
But her personality
was weird.
Yeah,
she was
so weird.
So
Johnny was just country girl, and crazy, making it worse all the time, just being the biggest creep on the planet.
Quiet.
Super quiet. But then she had an attitude if you came at her and do all that. So I was in the class with Dino, Johnny Hooper, her. I think there's a few more people in there that you would know that'd be like, that's the most random mix of people.
Yeah,
on the
that
planet.
is
I went in I would go into that class with my boots.
$500 boots.
$500 cowboy boots. My fucking what was the brand of jeans? Rock and Republic jeans.
Rock and Republic or
so like
jeans,
$300 jeans,
yeah.
And then a 7 diamond button up shirt because I had like a 6 months there to where I was like, I'm just gonna be fly shit for no reason every day, and so I probably had like $1,200 worth of clothes on in a high school ag class. So it was my spoiled ass, and then Johnny Hooper. That girl, Dino, and a couple other people I won't. But just it was the most random mix of everybody possible, and Mr. Etherly's wild ass leading the whole proceedings. It was the best semester of classes I ever had. It was amazing,
crazy. So you took ag instead of Spanish.
Yeah.
I cheated.
You had to do ag and then another class for the other semester. It was only 6. It was only half a year.
I remember in high school I cheated. I can't remember her name, but I cheated on a Spanish test in high school. So basically, what happened is we had a sub for the day it was a test. So basically, I and somebody else convinced the sub that we were given the answers, and I was like, "Yeah, let me go make a copy for you, so you can have a copy of the answers." And she's like, "I don't need a copy." I was like, "Yeah, you do. We always make copies." And so I went and made like 50 copies, handed it out to everyone. We took the test. Literally everyone cheated.
Yeah.
She came back and she was like, "So I know some of you went and made copies and blah, blah, blah." And she's looking dead at me. And I'm just like,
come at me.
She's like, if
you let me do it.
She's like, if you want to fess up now and tell me who did it, now's your chance. Or we're all going to have to retake it or something like that. And nobody said anything and we didn't have to retake it.
Nice. I got caught in
It'd be
Spanish.
like that though.
I want to say her name. I'm not care. Beverly Bridgers.
Oh yeah, Beverly. Shout out to Beverly.
I know she was probably cool in drum, but she hated
classes
at the time. This is me going back to high school and running it through my high school brain. Yeah. So looking back on it is probably different, and I'd probably take her side. Mm-hmm. But at the time, what I felt was like, oh, you don't like the popular kids with friends and stuff. That go out and do stuff. She resented us so much.
Yeah.
And so like 12 of us were in class. You could use, this sounds so stupid. The test we were taking in Spanish, it was a semester exam. Like this is like 30% of your grade. You could use a Spanish to English dictionary. Uh-huh. But conjugating, putting sentences together, writing stuff, like it didn't help you so much that it's like guaranteed pass with that.
Definition.
It was more, exactly. Well,
figures of speech and shit.
Half the people in the class that we're all friends with would like write in the margins of the book and do that. Everybody did that. Half the people in the class did
Sotros
that. And the only person who got caught was me because everybody did it and wrote in the margins to the textbook that was a classroom text dictionary.
Uh-huh.
I was the only one whose bougie ass parents was like, "We'll buy you your own, this fancy one, and all this stuff." And so I had my own in my backpack. And so I was in soccer, and they're like, "Can you send Tyler to their office, please?"
What?
All this. And I was like, "Oh shit, I know what's happening." So I walk through the gym, do all this, throw my dictionary in the trash, and then walk to the office. And they're like, "You cheated. We need to see your dictionary." I was like, "I don't have one. What are you talking about?" And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And then they talk to me for 30 minutes to leave, come back, and then I go back to another class. They end up calling me, "Can you send Tyler to your office, please?" And I go in the office. Who's that VP who had gold on her teeth?
Oh, I don't know, but
she was a super bitch.
I hated her.
She just like
exuded bitch energy.
Like I resent you,
yeah,
being a child, because I'm mad that I'm not still one, and I just want to like anything I can do to ruin your day.
That's what
I'm going to do it with a smile because it makes me feel good.
Yeah, she liked to
she was that
hate
person.
On kids pretty hard. She wasn't very empowering.
Yeah. And anyways, so they called me in there, and my dictionary was sitting on the desk. There was a guy in the lobby at the end of the gym. There was a kid in there that was like going to Spanish. That kid walked all the way from the gym across the parking lot, did all this, and then didn't know that I was called to the office. Just on their own, by themselves, ended up walking across the gym, through the parking lot to the other building, back to the principal's office, said, "Hey, there was some guy who walked through there and like threw a book in the trash. Do y'all want to go check that out?" And then they went and dug it out of the trash and got it. If that guy hadn't been in there, it would have been totally fine. So I ended up making a 0 on my semester test, had ICS for like a week.
Suspension or whatever. Yeah.
I did that. I still made a C in the class because it's high school. You can make 100 on anything if you're not.
Wow. So
one person just hanging out, and like, was he supposed to be in class? Like, why aren't you in class?
Why is he? Yeah. What is he doing?
Yeah. They didn't ask him that. They went and got the dictionary and they had it sitting there. They're like, "So you want to explain this?" And I was like, "Nope." No, I don't. They were like, "So did you lie?" I was like, "I'm not talking to you. I don't have to say anything. I'm a kid."
They're always trying to catch you in some shit, dude.
I'm not saying anything. And so I just basically pleaded the fifth on everything. They were like, "Well, you're guilty," or not guilty, but like, "Well, we think you did it. We're going to give you this punishment." And I was like, "Okay, I don't care."
Yeah.
And then she got mad that I didn't care.
Yeah.
And that whole thing. So
they just want to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah.
I fucking hated it. When I got kicked out of high school, she was the one that like brought me in.
That took joy in getting you out of it.
And then Preston was the one. Shout out to him. Preston was the one that was like, yeah. He's like, "Man, there ain't nothing I can do about it." He's like, "I know there ain't no evidence or nothing, but you said you did it, so you're out." I was like, "Okay." It's because I smoked weed in a hotel. On a band trip.
No. He didn't get in trouble because he smoked weed in a hotel.
I got weed because I told the truth.
No. You didn't get in trouble for smoking weed. You got away with smoking weed in a hotel. You got in trouble because you were the only person out of 5 people. Like, did you do it? Yeah.
It's true.
If you would have just said no, they would have been like, "Oh, well, go back to class."
That's so true, though.
But
see, the thing is like at the time, the two directors that we had, my percussion director and the main director, like I had built a really good relationship with them, and I really trusted them. And they're like, "Levi, just tell us the truth. We're on your side. If you tell us the truth,
oh my god,
like nothing's gonna happen. Just like get it off your chest." And they like manipulated me, and I was like, "All right, I did it." And they're like, "All right, go to the office." I was like, "What?"
Did you resent them?
Oh, I hate them
still to this day.
To this day,
yeah, they lied
for doing that to me.
They lied.
But the thing is, it's my fault.
You did it.
I did do it. But if they knew in the back of their heads that I wouldn't have gotten in trouble if I wouldn't have said anything, they egged it on. Which is why I fucked
you did it wrong, but you also didn't get caught, and obviously did it well enough for nobody to know you did it. And then
what was one kid that hated me? Snitched on me.
Yeah.
Devin England.
Yeah.
Still hate that kid. Fuck you, Devin. Snitched on me.
And then for them to set it, like another weird thing to do is for them to set a trap for you when they had there was no harm, nothing happened. Like, why are we doing any of this?
Yeah.
Nothing happened. And yeah.
It was the weakest
shit. They set a trap
shit
for
do.
you and
God, it
got
was
you
so
in
weak, man.
So
weak. But let's go back to cheating in high school. So I remember one time, shout out to Dace Downs. He would let me cheat in pre-cal. Do you remember the teacher we had in pre-cal? She was like always drugged up. She was like crazy cat lady style. Like she was really weird.
Yes.
I don't remember her name, like Miss McFadden or something.
No. If you said it, I'd remember. But yes, I know you're talking about.
So basically, I was terrible at math. So Dace what was his name? Dace Downs, right?
Yeah.
Oh, his name's, sorry, I don't know why I just haven't said his name in a very long time. So Dace was in front of me, and he would do the test, and then he would just lean over, and then I'd lean over his shoulder to see, and she is like looking dead at me when I do it, and she's just like, and I'm just like,
she was weird, but she was cool too.
She was pretty cool.
She was down to earth and like understanding of like, I know this is high school math.
Yeah.
I don't take it too seriously. You need to do it, and you need to do this to move on. Yeah. But also, I'm not going to be a psycho about it. Like she was cool. She'd let you make stuff up if you didn't turn homework. Like she was understanding.
She was cool.
But she still make you do it. Like if you never turned it in, you wouldn't get the grade. But she would help you out. And be like,
Billy, have I been back to high school? I have not. Have you? Mm-mm. Have you went to the new one?
They built a new high school after we left, and it looks like a prison on the outside, but it's nice. It's nice and big and stuff. It's just kind of dreary.
Yeah,
but
I'd like to go back and just walk the halls and be like,
smell. Our school had our school had a very distinct smell. If you weren't there that day, and like somebody that was in Paris High all day long walked into the room, you'd be like, "Oh, you just got back from the school." Like it just fills up the whole room. I don't know if it was asbestos or what there was some kind of distinct smell to that place.
There was a distinct. I remember coming home smelling like school.
Yeah,
I was like, that smells so bad.
It was weird.
How many kids were in your class? My class, I think it was like
250,
300. Same for you?
I think 240 or something.
Our school was about 1,000 kids.
Yeah.
By the time you graduate, like your freshman class would be like 350, and by the time you graduate, it was 250 because most of the kids a lot of them dropped out or moved. But our school wasn't that big. We were like a very small 4A.
They've redone all that stuff, so 4A doesn't mean anything anymore.
4A doesn't mean anything.
But at the time, we were 4A, the smallest 4A possible. I think we were like, there was one year they were trying to get like, hey, you can move to this district, right? Because we were like 9 people over going, so we would be the biggest 3A.
Yeah.
And so, we were like 10 people over the line to get to 4A, so we'd get stomped in sports.
Dude, we got stomped in every
football. I think there was 2 seasons in a row we went 0 and whatever.
Like 0 and 12.
We won 1 game in like 2 years, I think, and it might have been out of district.
Yeah, it
was trash.
But then
we were the smallest school.
But then when they built the new school, then they like lowered the
They redistricted everything, and they added a district.
And so they actually started doing well.
So, yeah.
They were like the biggest 3A at the time.
Yeah.
But, dude,
super fun high school sports talk. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, let's really get into it. I've cheated in pre-cal. I remember Mr. LaRue. His crazy ass.
Poor guy, dude.
His ass was crazy as hell.
No, he wasn't. Looking back on it,
he was extremely intelligent.
He wasn't crazy. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't crazy. He was too nice and smart to be doing the job he was doing. He
should have been a scientist.
He cared about it. He cared about the kids. He cared about the subject. He was just such a pushover that in college you could do that. And it's like, hey, you're paying for this. You got to be here.
Yeah.
But in high school, the kids can say, screw you. I'm not doing it. And like fight you.
Yeah, that's true.
And he wasn't ready. He couldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took his class, and I remember one of our very religious friends that we knew at the time, who was uber fundamental religious about stuff. Mr. LaRue would talk about something in physics, and he's just explaining physics to us really well. And this goes like, oh, so you're saying there's just magical fairies holding my pen together? And he would just, the thing is, instead of taking it as a kid joke, he would go, oh, this is an opportunity for me to like teach and learn. And it's like, dude, no, it's a trap.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Don't.
He'd be like, no, the physics. And he'd go up to the board and explain, and the kid would just laugh like, got him.
Yeah.
Like and then he would just keep doing religious. And then half the class ended up trying to like debunk religion by physics or something half the time because he didn't get
that
was messing with him.
Yeah.
Not this one person. And he's a really nice guy that you're like,
yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. I remember you telling me the story one time that in Mr. LaRue's class where there's a dude and he's cursing out a chick. I don't know. You want to tell it? You don't have to say names. You can just say the scenario.
Well, Beverly, again.
Okay, you said names.
I already talked about her before, and I still have resentment of the past. It's like,
well, tell the story so I can make a good clip out of it. Tell the story.
I get it that you don't get to have fun with us, but now you're just gonna like try to take us down
be a hater on the hater
train, exactly. I didn't not let you in the party. You could show up if you wanted to. You didn't. Oh God. Anyways, can't remember exactly what set it up. I think so. Whenever you turned in your test, you just set the test on the desk.
Yeah.
And they'd pile up, and then he'd come and pick them up afterwards. Well, one of the smarter people in class, top 3 like valedictorian kind of people, would set their test down. Somebody sitting at the desk next to the pile would pull it out and pass it around from desk to desk. And everybody in the class made the same grade as that.
Yeah.
Well, we had done that. The whole class had done that a few times, and everybody was like, don't have to study for this because we'll just take Ariel's paper and pass it around.
God, he was
because he's going to do great.
He was so smart.
And by the second or third time we did it, she actually studied and cared about her grade, and like, my high school GPA matters at all.
Why people think
Dude,
that?
I made so many C's and B's, still got into a D1 school. Like that has great law program, all this stuff. Like
I got a full scholarship.
But no, I've got a 3.9 that I earned, and he got a 3.7, and he should have had a 3.5. Like, fuck you. It's high school, dude.
Yeah, literally.
So serious. Anyways.
They do take it seriously.
And somebody grabbed it, started passing around, and then she called it out. Again, snitching on cheating.
Yeah.
And stuff, or doing something, and then she did that, and then after the test, certain person that we know that might be a little bit of a firecracker, I guess is the way to say it. He has an anger thing he deals with. He was saying, he was like murmuring something to her, like, I can't believe she did that after the test, because we actually had to take it and we all did horrible.
Yeah, you failed.
And she said, I think she said something. I'm like, well, if you actually studied, if you
yeah,
and he was like, and then he's like, fuck you, blah blah blah. And Mr. LaRue heard him, like, he said, fuck you, I don't care about any of this, blah, 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 and like cussed at her.
Yeah.
And then she got mad and said something else. And then maybe you could say what she said better than her. But
so basically,
he basically stood up and said, how about you shut the F up, you F and C?
Yeah.
I don't want to be on tape saying it that aggressively, because I wouldn't ever say that. But, and then Mr. LaRue was sitting there going, Cullen? Oh shit!
You dropping names.
My bad.
Can't clip it now.
I think you need to go to the office. And he was like, no, I'm not going to. She's not going off on her.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, Cullen, you need to go to the office. And he was like, no, it's not me, it's her. And just kept yelling at her. And then sat down in his desk and was like, no, I'm fine. And sat down like, I'm not doing it. And then he was like, okay, well, I guess we'll continue with class. Yeah. And then he just let it go. Completely.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any force.
He wasn't a fighter. He wasn't a put his foot down teacher. Since he had none of that, he was smart. He knew what he was doing. He cared. He wanted us to learn, did all that. He just was not equipped for ghetto high school.
Yeah,
at all.
And Paris was
at all.
Ghetto.
Yeah.
Wow,
anyways.
Roundabout way to get to that one. Billy, who was the friend that played drums with you, freestyle chat on Mixer? That was C-Note, yeah. That was Chris Mead. That was one of my ride or die homies back from Paris.
Same.
So I remember we used to ride around in a Jeep that I had. It was called the Breezy Express. And we beat
sarcastically.
Breezy at the time was girls. And we would beat the hell out of this Jeep, like drumming on it, driving through downtown, drumming on it, hitting the wheel, hitting the car.
Freestyling to the beats you were doing.
Yeah, freestyling to the beats we were doing. It was actually really cringe and terrible.
It was cringe and terrible, but you were getting, if we could take it somewhat seriously, it was good, fun, loose, free form practice.
It was, yeah. It was.
Like not everything.
Very free form.
Yeah, not every practice needs to be like in the band hall. Like
True.
Taking everything seriously and like I have to word this exactly perfectly and it's strict. Like that was the most loose, fun, goofy practice you could do, and y'all practiced every damn day.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Dude, I remember we would go out, and I remember one time I went out with Coop. Mm-hmm. And we went out to this area where it was like an open pasture or whatever. It's like right by my house, right off the highway. It was like at this church pasture. And it's me, him, and C-Note. And Coop's like, I got some bottle rockets. And we were like, all right, what you want to do? And he's like, let's shoot them at my car. And we were like, okay, because remember him and Con would just beat the shit out of their cars. We're shooting these bottle rockets at the car, and he's like, let me roll the windows down. He rolls the windows down, reason. And we're just
trying to hit the windows.
Just getting in.
That's what I'm saying,
car,
like trying to make the windows,
trying to hit like the windows from the other side, and so we're like literally shooting bottle rockets in his car. And I remember Cooper would drive, and he would just go gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. So it's like the car's going back and forth. I'm like, you're gonna fuck this.
So hyperactive,
dude. It was so bad.
So hyperactive.
It was so bad. It was so bad. I think him and his chick may have gotten a divorce.
Oh no!
Isn't that
sad to see it?
It's crazy when you get older and you see your buddies getting divorced because you're like, damn, we're that old now.
Yeah. The thing that hit me the most, I remember like past couple years meeting people, like being in Dallas and doing stuff, and it's like noticing on the dating apps with the age range you have around your age, a little bit younger, maybe you're a couple of years older, whatever, doing all that, and starting to realize like, oh, a way higher percentage of these girls have kids already, divorced. Yep. Like I'm gonna have to get used to that. Like I had that in my head for a while.
Dude, once you hit your 30s, you start to realize like a lot of women your age have children.
Kids.
They may look great.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. Yeah,
but they have kids or they're divorced.
And I started having to come to terms with like, if I meet somebody and really like them, I'm okay. Am I okay with being a stepdad? At some point? Like,
well, are you okay with being a stepdad?
Well, luckily, the situation I'm in now, I don't have to worry about that.
That's true.
So
you're not okay with being a stepdad. It's okay to say it.
I haven't actually gotten close enough to someone with a kid to have to fully embrace like.
Right.
Would or like make that for real decision.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would finally decide.
I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I would not be okay with that.
I don't know.
You want to know why?
If the kid was like 12, I feel like it'd be harder. I feel like the younger the kid is, the easier it'd be.
The presence of a kid, the harder it is. I don't want another child breathing my same air.
Okay, I'm not there on that
because I want to build a family with the girl I'm with.
You can still, you can do that too.
But I don't want any side characters. I don't want any side quests.
They're not a side character.
That's a side.
You think you wouldn't end up falling in love with the kid when you spend every day with them?
Can you discipline? But can you discipline?
Yes,
bro. No,
that's what I'm saying. It's easier when they're younger. If you're with somebody and they're 3, the kid's 3.
But what if it's
like you're an authority figure?
But what if it's a little girl and when she's 5, she's like, he touched me?
What world does that happen in?
That happens a lot.
Does it?
Yes.
I don't know that that's really a problem.
What if she's 12 and
that's not a problem I actually concerned myself with? Of like,
I know, but what if
phantom 5-year-old allegations? That's not something I've ever thought was a real thing.
They're going to believe the kid though.
Fine, but
and you're going to look like a culprit because you're not
fake news.
Fake news.
That's not a concern you would have with if you're with a girl and you like her and she's like a normal person that you could actually fall for. I would assume she's not insane enough to have a kid that would do some insane stuff like that.
See, that's the thing. But you also got to look at who you are. And
yeah,
and this is a statistic. I'm 6'2". Statistically, I'm in the top 4% of men in height.
In the world.
I also make 6 figures. I'm like almost a high value man. And so at this point, I'm gonna be picky. That's why.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm not saying no.
I'm not saying we're
doing the hypothetical. If you were in that situation to do it, how would it go?
Right.
Preference.
So you would be cool with being a stepdad.
I wouldn't prefer it.
That wouldn't be your first.
Wouldn't prefer it. But I think if I fell for somebody that had a kid, I wouldn't let that get in the way. No.
Really?
No.
Damn.
No. Now
that would get in the way for
the
me.
struggle would be if they're 13, which like they had a kid at 17 or something, whatever.
Yeah.
If they're 12 or 10 or whatever, that would be so much harder than like, all right, you're starting out with a 3-year-old. You're
changing diapers on another dude's
just by being an adult in the room, you're an authority figure to a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So the discipline, raising your voice, telling them to do stuff is easier at that young of an age to where they can grow up with you being the authority figure. If you come in with them at 12, they're like, you ain't my dad. Like they know they know the dynamic, like they know the trap you're in.
Yeah.
And they can manipulate it and screw it up just the same way I did with my first stepdad. I
was an asshole.
I was horrible to that guy. Not for no reason. But I was horrible to that.
Let me ask you this: knowing how you were when you were 12 and 13, would you have wanted to be? Would you have
tortured him?
I know. Knowing how you were at the age of like 12 and 13, would you have wanted to be a stepdad to yourself?
No, but also I think having been the kid that did all that, I know the game, I know the tricks, I know the manipulation that I had on my end as a kid. To where it's like now I'm like, I get what you're doing, dude. Like just talk to him like a person instead of I'm gonna be your dad. Can you ever see me as a father figure? Like, don't get away from any consideration of that.
You're just banging my mom.
That's the trap. That exactly. Like, you're the dude that's with my mom. What do you want me to do, man? I don't care about you. Like, no. Yeah. So I wouldn't fall into that trap. I wouldn't fall in the trap of like, I'm in charge of you just like your mom. No, I'm not. Like, I wouldn't fall in the traps that my stepdad fell in. That I wouldn't make the same mistakes he made. So I would be better at it than he was. But also, it would still suck.
Did you ever call any of your stepdads dad?
No. I
don't call my stepdad dad. It's weird, man.
I had resentment from day one.
You're like, taking pie off my table,
dude. He would come down. And like, he was an alcoholic.
You need to listen to me, boy.
He was an alcoholic, so he was always drunk, but he functioned drunk all day long, every day. So. But he would tell me to do something like, you need to clean up this rip. Don't break, like, quit doing that. You're going to break it and all this stuff. And I would just tell Sharon. And he's like, what do you mean? And I would just keep doing it. And I was like, go tell Sharon to tell me to stop doing it.
Bastard.
And it just cut his balls off immediately. Yeah. It's his house, his stuff, and I'm messing with it.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna keep messing with it until you go upstairs,
tell my mom,
and tell her to come tell me to stop doing it, and then I'll stop doing it. And so he'd go upstairs, give my mom. She would say, "Hey Tyler, like, what are you doing? Stop doing that." I was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." And then immediately stop. Nice, cordial, all that. And then he's just sitting there watching, like,
he's rage. He wants to rage quit on your face.
I fucked that up.
So let me ask you this though: would you want a kid to call you dad if you were their stepdad?
No. If they ever did, that would be a really sweet moment.
Yeah.
But zero expectation.
You're not like, my name now is Dad.
Yeah, I wouldn't try for it. I don't expect it. I wouldn't want them to do it if they didn't. Like, if it wasn't like and you shouldn't do it in the first 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. No, that's like what I learned being a step kid. It was day one. They can come in and be nice and do all this stuff. You don't actually, like, the kid will never trust you until you prove that you're for real. Yeah, the only way to prove that you're for real is to be there for 10 years.
Yeah, you got to be there
for 20 years.
Dude, yeah.
Like, you're not going to quit on this. My mom and dad quit on each other. So what's this guy going to do? Yeah, like, you're going to come and go. Why do I care about you? The only way to prove it is you've just got to suffer for 10, 15, 20 years. And then it's like, over time, it's like, oh, he's for real.
That's so true, though. Because I didn't get
if they did it if the kid was 3 and I was a stepdad for 20 years, and then whenever they were getting married and I walked her down the aisle and she said, that kind of thing, then that would be a huge emotional moment if we were bonded and all that stuff. That would be a huge emotional moment. But growing up, no, don't call me dad. That's weird.
Would you, if you were a kid's stepdad, do you think you'd be able to spank them? Let me retract. Are you going to spank your children?
Not.
Your kid does something
not stupid. In the old school way to where you like chunk the chancla and you pick up a hanger and like a belt and all that stuff. No.
Really?
No.
Dude, I learned by the belt. Me and Cass,
that's fine.
We're going to spank our kids. Do you think there's something wrong with spanking your kids?
No, I don't. I just think I think it feels more productive for the parent than it actually accomplishes a goal for the kid.
Do you not think pain and fear are the greatest motivators?
No, when you spank, if a kid breaks something, if a kid does something wrong in front of dad, and when they do that thing wrong in front of dad spanks them, and then they go to school and they do that, well, dad's not there to see them to spank them when they do it, then they learn, don't do that in front of dad.
I mean, I guess so, but it goes back to the philosophy.
I can do it, I just can't do it in front of dad.
Would you rather be feared or respected?
Respected.
Fear works more.
No.
Fear works better.
No, it doesn't. It works in your presence. It doesn't work when they're on their own. They fear you when you're there. They don't fear you when you're gone because you're not there. Respect can hold whether your presence is there or not.
I don't know, man.
When dad's here, don't do this. But when dad's gone, let's get wild.
Yeah.
So that's what I think that's what the
that's the whole Sun Tzu thing. He's like, I'd rather be feared than respected.
Yeah, because he's murdering people.
Yeah, true.
That's different.
But I think it's just like a basic human.
Because like what Genghis Khan did whenever he'd go to places, like he was so devastatingly, torturously murderous for a reason. Like, it was a strategy. True. If I do that to these people, then the next 5 people know that's what's coming. So I don't even have to fight them because they'll go, oh, no, don't do that to us. We'll give up. Yeah. We'll do that. So when you're trying to murder cities full of people, yeah, that might hold true. But when you're trying to teach your kid, like, don't piss on the seat, on the toilet, lift the toilet seat up, I think maybe you're overreacting.
I think it also comes down to what type of punishment, like, it does better for certain kids. For me, I liked getting spanked because it was over and out. I got hit, it hurt. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do it again, and then it was done.
Yeah, and you were also a shithead. So how much did it work?
I was a shitbag. Well, I guess you got a point there. But the other one is more psychological. So it comes down to the argument of, like, what lasts longer, a spank on the butt or, like, psychologically, because that's what you're going to have to do, right? You don't just get respect from just being like, well, hey, don't do that. They're not going to respect you. You're going to have to do something. Yeah.
You can punish your kids another way. There's positive punishment, negative punishment, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of ways to train brains, and positive punishment might have its place in certain situations. I think with a 12-year-old,
How were you disciplined as a kid?
If I got real bad, my mom would spank and stuff. Most of the
pretty traditional.
It was taking something away. but she wasn't the most disciplinary.
Yeah. Chat,
I had to get real bad. I had to get real bad before, like, ridiculous bad before it was like, okay, bam, 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 bam.
Yeah. See, I grew up watching my brothers get spanked. I grew up watching my friends get spanked. So it was normal. And it kind of like,
yeah, and it is. I'm not saying
I got spanked for doing shit at school.
Now, if you go Adrian Peterson on a kid, like, all right, you went too far. But
for that, shame on my parents that are apart from them. I mean, I don't know. I can't really. Personally, I think I would spank my kids. Now, if I have a daughter, it's probably gonna be very hard for me. But if I have a son, bro, I'm gonna tan his ass.
I think you can. I think depending on the age,
pop them twice. They know they're doing something stupid.
Yeah, I think physical intimidation. Like you could just stand like what the hell? Like being big on a kid and standing over them with a deep voice and looking mad. I think kind of does the same thing depending on how young they are.
Yeah,
and you don't actually have to lay hands on them.
I think we're just.
People are getting soft. I was about to say, go down that road. Yeah,
people are getting soft.
But like, I don't think they're soft because they stopped spanking. I think they're soft because they changed expectations.
Well, that's the problem. Is we all have expectations.
We changed expectations of how a kid should act.
Yeah,
and that doesn't mean spanking them will fix it. That means not letting them behave that way would fix it.
Oh,
and you don't have to spank them to stop them.
Fix it, right?
Yeah. I think it's expectations that changed, not the type of punishment. Like, that changed that. But I don't
know because I like to talk about it because it's like I'm not saying my way is right or the way I think about it, and who knows when I have a kid if I actually do it. Because my brother Jody, who was an idiot and he's still institutionalized,
you can't. And that's another thing.
They spanked him all the time, and he's in and out of jail. Yeah. He has been for his entire life. So it's like, did it work?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And he might have took that same mentality, like I said earlier, like. If you do this wrong in front of dad spanks you. If you do this wrong away from dad, you don't get spanked. Mm-hmm. Well, okay, if I do this wrong and the cops aren't here and I get away with it, then it's fine. Just don't get caught.
Yeah.
And you could you could translate that to a lot of things. And it's like, well, you could still get caught otherwise because of cameras and license plates and all this other stuff. So, I don't know.
It's a good argument. I've never really sat down and had it. Like the only time I've ever had it was in Austin, where everybody's ridiculously liberal, and they're like, "No, you must teach them this," and I'm like,
it's a flower. You need to let grow on their own. It's like, no. Don't let them grow on their own.
Yeah, no.
Well,
because Cass got spanked growing up.
I'm not saying I won't be a dick.
Yeah.
I do see myself being a dick as a dad.
But I'm trying to think, like, of all the kids we know.
Not spanking, not any of that stuff.
If all the kids we know, how many... If you had to put a percentage on all the kids we went to high school with, how many of them do you think got spanked as a kid?
Well, when we were in school, you could still get spanked at school.
I got spanked at school.
Yeah, I got swats at school. So everybody, I mean,
it was a thing, right?
Yeah, it was normal. It was a normal thing. Yeah, I'm sure everybody did at some point.
Mukbang, why he keep getting caught though? Okay, let me tell you a little story about my brother. My brother, Jody, he's institutionalized. I mean, I don't even want to shout him out because that's not good, but all love to him, but he's got a really skewed, what's the word I'm looking for? He's got a very skewed
point of view of how the world works.
Perception of reality and how the world works. Yeah. So basically what happens is he got caught for a robbery years ago, went in, and then he would get out. And then when you get out, you're on papers, you're on parole or you're on probation. You have to go check in with a PO, parole officer or probation officer. And you have to piss in a cup. You have to, you know what I mean? And it takes months. It's not just like, oh, you get out, you piss clean once, and hey, back out on the streets. It's like they're really trying to wean you off the teat of prison and like, all right, are you changing your lifestyle? He'll go and then skip his parole, skip his probation.
Just immediately.
Skip it immediately, and he's like, fuck it, they're going to have to find me. Like I talked to my dad.
And then they do every time.
And then they find him every time. And he goes back for 6 months or he goes back for a year. And then he gets out. Same thing. Hey, you're on probation. He's like, well, I'm not going to probation. He's like, all right, we'll find you in a month. In a month. He's got a warrant, and then they go find him, and he's just in and out, in and out, in and out. He can't get his shit together. He's in his 40s. The dude has gray hair, and he's still in and out of jail. And this is county. This isn't prison. He's never done anything violent. He just does petty shit.
Yeah.
Like he robs people, and he gassed a female officer one time.
You know what's crazy? I heard somebody say this, and I feel like I've heard it before, but for some reason recently it just connected in my brain.
Yeah.
This guy was talking. He was a psychologist or mathematical psychoanalyst or whatever. And he has other friends in the field, and he said he went out to dinner with one of his friends, and his friend was working on this thing to where he goes to prisons and does psychological evaluations, IQ tests, all this other stuff.
Okay.
And voluntarily, they're not forced to do it. But if it's like, hey, you get 2 hours out of your cell, like most people are going to volunteer. Yeah, exactly. He said, and he didn't say his friend's name, the research he's doing, any of that. But he was like at dinner over a glass of wine. His buddy told him, like, dude, the IQ of the average person in jail is crazy, scary low. And he was like, but he started talking about like the moral implication of that, of like, so if that holds true outside of his study group, if that is true at most prisons, he's like, are we just doing a bad job of like
putting the wrong people in
as
jail?
A country, as like helping, maintaining, guiding, whatever, you putting people in the best position possible to where like if you just have a low IQ also means like bad frontal lobe, impulse control, all the others, like has other implications. And it's not guaranteed, but if most people in prison long term have low IQs, are we just creating buildings to house low IQ people? And like that's like,
so what
I think in America everybody starts thinking about like, oh no, he's evil, he has there's a moral connection to it. And what this guy was saying is, what if there's not a moral connection? Like what if it's a brain frontal lobe problem of impulse control and all these other things,
addictive personality,
to where it's just like we just find a place to house like frontal lobe issued people, and that's all it is.
That's true though.
That's kind of crazy. And so whenever you hear stories like that of like, well, they're gonna have to find me, it's like, dude has no concern about tomorrow.
No, it doesn't.
And that's the definition of impulse control.
Doesn't care at all.
And future planning and being able to have abstract ideas in your head about, well, if I take this action, then it can turn into this one, and there's these 3 possibilities, and if this one happens, this one, and you can plan for the future on different variables and all that stuff. Some people can't and don't, and are just like, whatever happens right now, you stepped on my shoe in a club, I'm going to shoot you, because there is no thought process behind anything past the next 30 seconds. And it's like, that's kind of scary to think that like if you're just born without that, then
you're more prone to be in jail.
It's not like God predestined, but it's like it's predestined. If you're born with this is going to happen, and you're going to be an outcast in society, and you're going to go to that, and that's all you're going to do, because you can't stop, because we're not fixing the brain problem. We're just moving you away from other people that don't have it. That's kind of crazy.
Have you ever seen that show 60 Days In?
No.
Basically what 60 Days In is they get like 10 people that are civilians, and they say, hey, we want to put you in county jail for 60 days. And then like, you have a job. Like, all right, Tyler, I want you to go figure out the drugs. All right, Levi, I want you to go figure out the weapons. Okay, somebody else, I want you to go figure out how they're getting notes across to each other.
And like contraband, like food.
And contraband. How do they trade items? So we all basically are civilians. We get pre-screened, and they're like, hey, you're going to go in there undercover, and you're basically going to be an inmate for 60 days. So one guy's like a correctional officer, and he goes in and literally is like the pod boss in like a month, because he's not an idiot. And so he can go, and like there's a dude that's way bigger than him. Like I'm talking, this dude's like 6'6", massive, yoked to, like he could beat the hell out of this guy. But this other guy knows how to play the mental warfare, and knows that if he stands up for himself hard enough, he's like, I'm gonna stick you. You know what that means? Like, I'm gonna stab you. He's like, you don't give me my items, you're gonna get stuck, and somebody's gonna be bleeding, and it ain't gonna be me. So this big dude's like, all right, man, I'll get you your items. But basically they go in for 60 days, and a lot of people don't last. Do you think you could last 60 days in county?
No. No. I have no illusions about that. Like I think about it, and it's like, oh, what would happen if I did? But I assume in reality, like, oh, if I, like, like you have those random thoughts when you're trying to go to sleep about if somebody broke into the house, I would do this John Wick thing, and then this John Wick thing, and then I would kick John Wick. If I was at the 7-Eleven and something popped off, I could just do this and like slam the door on this and blah blah, throw a bag in his face, blah blah, all the different things. Those fun scenarios play out in my head of like the most awesome thing I could do, and it's fun to think about. But in real life, hell no. No, I'm not built for that life.
A lot of them don't.
I'm a country club kid, man. I ain't built for that life.
A lot of them don't have to fight, but a lot of them do get tested. And if you don't know when you're being tested, you'll look like a fool, and then other people see you, and it's like bad.
I have heard stories to where it's like, no. I've heard stories of certain prisons where it's like, no, as soon as you walk in, like they look at you and say, this guy. and they like knock you out cold and do vile stuff.
If you go to a prison, that's what your first day is. They show up, they see you, they're like, show me your papers. You show them your papers. The only reason I know this is because I've watched a ton of shit about prison documentaries. They're like, show me your papers. They look at your papers. If you're like a chomo, child molester, or you rape women or blah blah. Like depending on your charges is pretty much what they're going to do to you.
Got you.
And so they say, all right, here's your race.
They have categories.
Yeah, you're with us now. And then they'll either, depending on how sweet you look, they'll bring you in and be like, hey, have some punch and play some chess. Have you ever heard about this story? There's a book called.
We're talking about heavy stuff.
Fish. It's called Fish. It's a memoir of a boy in a man's prison. It's about a dude back in, I want to say it was the 90s or the 80s. His best friend worked at a Kodak print shop. So this was a while ago. Remember when you go to Kodak, you give them your film printed out? His friend was working there. He thought his friend was working there that night, so he's like, I'm gonna pull up with a fake water gun and I'm gonna rob him or whatever. He pulls up on this dude, doesn't know that it's not him and it's somebody else. Apparently it's law that if the person that you're robbing thinks it's a real gun, it's armed robbery.
Yeah.
So he got hit with armed robbery as a joke. No. Guess how many years he got for that?
I'm hoping it's like 2, but I know you're going to say like 50.
He got 17 years.
Yeah.
He served I think he maybe even got more, but he served 17 years. So he got like 20, 25. So he said the first day there, he gets there and he's like, everybody was so nice to me. They show me my bunk and then they're like, yeah, come in here and play checkers. And he's like, I'm in there playing checkers and there's like, hey, you have some of this juice. And he's like, oh, wow, these guys are very accommodating. Starts drinking this juice. And then he's like, then I wake up the next day. He's like, I'm in my cell alone. He's like, and my asshole is on fire.
Yeah.
And so he basically just got...
Yeah. You have no idea what happened or who did it or what diseases you have or anything else.
And then the next day they came back. They're like, "Hey, you want to play checkers again?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know, my butt really hurts." And they're like, "Yeah, we're getting in that ass."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I don't want to play checkers." And they're like, "Well, we're gonna get that ass
either way.
So you can either drink the juice and us get that ass, or we're gonna beat your ass." And so he said he got raped quite a bit until he actually could like start defending himself.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, right?
Yeah.
But I remember watching this guy talk about that. I was like, "Wow, that's fucking brutal."
Don't want none of that.
Yeah, because like if they go in and like, let me see your papers. You think they're like trying to help you? They look at your papers and like, this guy's got no priors. He got 20 years. Why take advantage of him? Like,
he's not.
They look at that. Yeah, they look at that to be like, does he know the system? And if you don't, they're like, we're gonna take advantage of you. Yeah. Because what else do they have to lose?
No, don't want none of that.
I couldn't last a day in prison, bro.
I think the only thing I could last in is one of the like Martha Stewart prisons where like. The rules are you can only bring 3 golf clubs. You can't bring a whole set. The TV can only be 40 inches wide. You know, 50, like you can't bring a 50 inch. You got to bring a 40 inch and like stuff like that. Because they do have a golf course, but you can only have a driver, a 7-iron, and a putter. Yeah. Like, okay.
It's like, damn it.
So I won't be able to work on my fade with my 4-iron. You know, that kind of thing. Yeah.
White collar prison. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You might be able to last 30 days in county. County's not too bad.
Yeah. No, I remember in college and stuff. Knowing people with bars and things that have talked about it, they're like, yeah, it's. I mean, people act tough, and there's crazy people in there, and it's hectic and chaos, and like can be miserable. But it's not like the stories you hear on TV about that kind of stuff. Like,
let's say you were driving one day, a cop pulled you over, and for some reason it was like some new law that you basically got like a $10,000 ticket, and they were like, all right, you can either pay the $10K or you can spend 5 days in county. Which one would you pick? You can't put it on credit. They're like, you can't put this on a credit card. This has to be cash.
Oh, well, I don't have $10,000 cash, so I don't really have a choice in that. But if I could put it on a credit card and pay it.
Dude, I would do the 5 days.
That's a vacation. No. If I could put it on a credit card and pay it, it'd be a vacation for you because of your job. With me, I would get fired. Like, I would end up losing more than $10K doing that. So, like, having to call to say, like, I can't come in for 5 days because I'm in jail. Like, it's like
you don't tell them you're in jail. You just take some PTO.
Even then, like, no. I don't think that would work out very well. So I would end up losing a salary more than the $10K.
Okay, that's fair.
I wouldn't now. No, don't want any of that happening. No.
Yeah,
there's got to be something lighter to talk about.
Hey man, prison talk.
Getting raped in prison is probably
it's about as dark as it gets, man. Yeah. No, my dad he went in a few years ago for beating up his old lady. He did like 2 years in his like 50s. My dad had brain surgery recently. Did I tell you that? I got a call one day. It's like, hey, your dad had a brain bleed. and he had brain surgery. And then I just get a picture like a week later. My dad has the most metal ass. Like they shaved half of his head and his hair was really long, and he just has staples. It is so metal. I'm like, that is so metal.
There was a guy I knew in Tyler that he drank way too much. He was we hung out at bars and stuff and would drink, but like even being a college kid going to a bar and drinking, you can be like, oh, that's an alcoholic. Like,
yeah,
we're having fun. That's
you see people there that are like slumped over, like sweating.
They're every day. Like every time you're there, they're always there. And it's like we don't just happen to show up at the same time.
Yeah,
you're here all the time, every day. And it was 4th of July, I think. He was at family's house or something. And of course, he got trashed because he gets trashed every day.
Yeah.
And everybody went to bed, and he was going to go outside and pop a few more fireworks. He ended up putting his beer bottle on the ground, putting a bottle rocket in it, and leaned over in the driveway to light the bottle rocket, and was so drunk he just fell and hit his head. He ended up hitting it just right to where he ended up getting a brain bleed. But he's out in the driveway in the middle of the night by himself.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody's with him. Somebody ends up coming and finding him, I think, that night. Like, it wasn't like 9 hours or anything. Somebody ends up coming to find him, go to the hospital. They ended up having to like open up his skull, brain surgery, cut parts out, do this stuff, do all this stuff. Alcoholic, leaning over to light a bottle rocket, did that. Fucking 24-year-old dude ended up having to get parts of his brain cut out, do all this crazy shit for that. Is tough for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
because of just he has to get trashed every day,
dude.
Like, that would be the most simple, stupid little thing.
Yeah, seriously.
Just, bam, done.
Damn, what's good? Wickety split.
I also knew a girl that fell out of a window.
I've never seen that.
She was hanging out at a party out of like an apartment in like the second or third, I think second floor, maybe. Second,
at least
floor.
A story up.
They had at least one story up. And they had the window open, and then at this party, and all the chairs were taken, and so she sat in the windowsill. She had been drinking all night. She's a party kind of person, drinking all night, sitting in the windowsill with her butt out the window, kind of sitting, leaning forward like that. And then somebody's doing something, and she like tried to posture or move, and just fell back, hit her head on the concrete. Same thing. Took her to the hospital, brain bleeding. Open up her same thing as the other guy, brain surgery, all this other stuff. Just one dumb. Falling out a damn window at a party. That's how stupid some of that stuff can be. Yeah. We never knew anybody that did anything that ridiculous at a party.
No.
Growing up.
No. Like, I saw people like jump over bonfires and shit.
Yeah. You get hurt for a couple of weeks. And
then you know, my brother fell asleep one time with a candle in his room on top of a milk crate. And it for some, I don't know if it was in glass, but what happened is it melted. It caught the milk crate on fire. He was asleep, and so it caught like.
Got him.
Yeah, half of his shit on fire. Actually,
who wasn't in high school that they were out at a pasture trying to light a
Rudy?
What? No, I don't think it was him.
Wickety split. This is my homie from high school.
Yeah, but he was trying to light a bonfire, but they were using like a spray bottle.
I don't remember.
And so, like a hairspray, like squeeze bottle.
Oh, that's so stupid.
And so they put gasoline in that, and we're spraying it and like misting it to get it wet with gasoline or something.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Yeah. And so they I think they ended up making a trail and lighting it. So they weren't lighting it right next to the big bonfire. Yeah, they made a trail, lit it. But even then, when he lit it, there's little fumes of gasoline, all like little misty stuff of gasoline all over, burn him. I think it was like 70% of his body, like third degree, like just. Whoa. Fucked them up because they're out in the middle of nowhere, so they had to call an ambulance, get them out there. Like it was time spent, just because somebody was that stupid to mist gasoline on a bonfire before they lit. Like, just we never were any close to anything that crazy.
Wickety split. Yeah, I've known this guy for over a decade. No, so that happened and that burned part of the room. I lied, or I told the wrong story. My brother also fell into a fire and burned 40% of his body.
So he was drunk or what?
No, I don't know if he was drunk. I think, but it was in like high school. But he fell in like I don't know if it's left or right arm, but like you look at it and it's like burnt.
Weird.
He had third degree burns on 40% of his body.
That's awful.
Yeah, it's really fucking bad. We knew a kid in high school that fell and like for some reason his hands went under a lawnmower.
Yeah, he was real little. It was
a very bad situation, but he had like lost most of his fingers. It was bad.
Yeah,
dude.
nothing. Yeah,
it's fucking bad. I'm trying to think what else.
But we can get off trauma. if you want.
I feel like when you get on trauma, it's so good, though. God, it's so good.
I mean, there's a lot of, we have a ton of stories, but
yeah. Chat, it has been about 2 hours. What's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does.
But chat, this is my buddy Tyler. For some of you guys that don't know, I've known Tyler for over a decade. He's one of my high school buddies. We go back farther than Randy Moss during that one Super Bowl game with Tom Brady. But ask your friend if he ever got so drunk he threw up. Wickety split. Come on.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a good episode. Tell me what you guys think about the new setup. You guys like the new setup? You like the new setup?
Yeah, I do.
I actually like this more than over there and over there.
Yep.
I think this just fits the vibe a little bit better. I think it hits a little bit harder. Mukbang really likes you, and he's an OG in the chat.
Sweet.
This is a great episode. Well, great, man. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, you can shiggity, wig, wiggity, big, biggity, bet that. It was good to have you guys out. And we'll see you guys probably next week. So I'll probably start having Tyler on once a week, and we'll just shoot this shit, man.
It'll be less depressing next time, hopefully.
It'll be a lot less depressing. We'll have something to talk about. This time I was like, let's just do this. But I'll see you guys on the next one, man. Peace. Yeah, that was a solid episode. That was a solid 2 hours.